Did you say it's just hover over the name?
Yeah, I think so. Towards the top right corner, you might be able to change someone's audio. I know that there are some people who say it won't let them, but
it probably depends on your browser.
Yeah. But if there's somebody audio who's too loud, just let me know, and I should be able to change it. What's up, Fanatic?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep. Perfect.
Most everybody's already live here. Let's see.
Can I just ask what the name of the show is so I can just put it in my title?
Yeah, it's called Twitch Politics Panels. It's on TomFoolery. Yeah, it's what we're working with for right now. Here, I'm gonna mute City Cat for just a second. No, it's not City Cat either.
It might be no comment chick. I just heard somebody typing.
Yeah, is that it?
Yes, it is you.
Huh. You must be getting them.
All right, we got everybody here. Okay, so yeah, we're missing K Fellows and Pyro right now. They should be here in just a little bit. In the meantime, appreciate everybody for joining us. We're gonna go around and let you guys introduce yourselves real quick. There's Pyro. Okay, there we go. All right. So yeah, we'll let you guys go around and introduce yourselves. We'll go from top to bottom, left to right. So we'll start with you, Cypher. Go ahead.
All right. Hey everybody, my name is Cypher. I am the host and moderator of the Crowdsourced Politics podcast. We stream to Twitch once a week for a news roundup, and we release an episode or 2 episodes a month on all your favorite streaming services. So go ahead and check us out. We cover a variety of political topics, trying to get all the kind of analysis only the crowd can provide.
So what do you guys talk about on there? I've heard a lot. When did you guys start this actually?
It was last year, 2019, or 2019 actually. So it's almost going to be about 2 years in August. We kind of started off because I kind of always wanted to do it. We were, me and the other people on were kind of running a debate community, and people were like, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it. So
and you just do like random panels where you talk about news?
So the news roundup is weekly. So we cover from Wednesday of the previous week to Wednesday of the current week. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. When we can. Tonight we had to cancel due to a bunch of technical difficulties. The podcast itself, where we just do audio, is a variety of different topics. We've covered things like cancel culture, the Libyan civil war, which Turing News was on as a guest. We covered MMT, we covered gun debates. So we covered just a whole host of different topics.
Cool. Okay. No comment shit.
Hey everybody, I am No Comment Chick. I am a Twitch streamer. I don't know if I should even say that. As of like right now, I think my Twitch views and my YouTube views are pretty much equal. So I've done Twitch for a long time. I'm just starting on YouTube, and the YouTube's kind of blowing up. We do debate analysis is my main gig. Watching other people debate, making commentary on it, annoyingly talking over the boys, so that my YouTube commenters can't hear and they yell at me in the comments. But it's okay because the rest of everybody likes me. So that's what we're doing. We cover what's going on with BreadTube and other streamers like that, and also like to get into the issues that they're talking about. It's a way of inserting my view into the discourse, which is what we're all here for, right? So yeah, that's what I do and who I am.
Awesome. Appreciate you joining us. And then we got Art Black.
Howdy. So I am more traditionally a Facebook debater, trying to get into more of the online, YouTube, Twitch thing. So we're trying to get off my butt and do that. Former military, the defense contractor, then corporate sellout. Kind of describe myself as a cocaine communist. You've heard of a champagne socialist. I'm a little notch above that. And yeah, no, I like long walks on the beach, candlelit dinners, and bullying conservatives on Twitter.
All right. Appreciate it. The City Cat. Appreciate you joining us.
Hi. So I am the City Cat. I host a kind of an anti-panel, more of a hangout type deal once a week on my stream with Twitch poll streamers, and it's more about making friends and discussing ideas than it is debating, because I feel like all of us need a more chill space that is less about yelling at each other and more about just getting to know each other, so that when we do debate each other, it's a bit more friendly. And yeah, it's a feminist-led space where people can feel safe, and I think that's somewhere that a lot of people need it, and I'm really happy that we're doing that now. I'm a cat girl. I'm a fucking adorable, and I'm really happy to be here today. So thank you so much for having me on.
Sorry, I was very late on the production there. I was
That's okay.
Sending out everybody's links. Yeah, you guys, I guess we rated into your panel last night. You had you had A4 Andre on there, who I hadn't seen in forever. I didn't know he was still around.
He's a good friend of mine. We've been talking a lot. He's been doing his Pokemon stuff, so it was really, really good to get him back into the Twitch poll community and reunite with a few of his old friends. It was really, really nice.
Cool. That's cool. All right, GKR, what you got for us, man?
Oh, what's up, everybody? I mainly make YouTube content. Usually like long form, kind of ranty videos, not really edited at all. I'm talking about criminal justice related issues, which is what my master's degree is in. Sometimes political issues, kind of like whatever. And randomly show up on panels and sometimes stream, I guess. But it's really kind of all over the place. So.
All right. And then we got Jola. Jola, actually, I've been watching you for a while, man. I really enjoy your content. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me on. So I'm Jola. My big focus is I'm a progressive from a rural area. I'm trying to get rural America to accept more progressivism. So that's what I talk about on my channel, a sort of pragmatic politics. And I also do some like React stuff to like Destiny and Vosh debates, like no comment chick, purely for algorithm reasons. Because if you talk about regular policy stuff on YouTube, I'm mainly on YouTube. If you talk about regular policy stuff, as all of you probably know, you're not going to get clicks. You need to have some type of clickbait or something. But yeah, that's what I do.
True. Yeah, that's the secret I figured out recently on YouTube, is I started putting out like Alex Jones videos and Candace Owens videos. Oh my goodness, dude. I got so many subs just from putting them in the title. So yeah,
do a Caitlin Bennett video.
Oh, I think I did one, but like I had been what do you call it? Where they put you way down at the bottom of like search results. Mm-hmm. I forget what they call it, like ghost banned or shadow banned. I've been shadow banned for like the last year, so finally I'm back in the search results. Mr. Fanatic, appreciate you joining us again, man. What you got for us?
What I got for y'all is just my latest song. It's called Araya, because I do music. I'm a pianist. I have what I would, I don't know. I just have a pretty decent ear. I do Twitch politics, just kind of talking about, systemic oppression and just various issues. I don't really consider myself to be left or right. I think both sides pretty much do some ridiculous things, but I probably argue, it seems like I'm always arguing for the left now, which is kind of gross to me because I used to be a Republican, but yeah, I don't know. I do politics. I've done video games. I'm a retired fighting game pro. I did that for like 10 years or so. I have the biggest money match in history for 50 grand. I don't know. I'm just, I just kind of play life by ear like I do the piano. I just, whatever comes up. Right now I'm into politics and Slay the Spire. Who knows, maybe. And now I'm into hiking. That's like my super passion right now. I don't know. I'm just always into something new.
Bro, I completely feel you. I had been a Republican my whole life, but it seems like they're all conspiracy theorists now, and I just can't take their side on anything.
Yeah, like, bro, it sucks.
I wish they would start making sense. I'm like, guys, please say something like with some sanity so I can take your side once in a while. Like, I hate siding with the lefties all the time. These have been my enemies my entire life.
It's gross, man. You can't do anything about it because I don't know what the freak is going on, man. It hurts. It hurts.
I don't know what the freak is going on either.
Listen, you invade the Capitol one time and you find yourself just on the fence with everybody.
This is cancel culture. This is cancel culture, unironically.
You do an insurrection once and suddenly you're not a viable member of society. Ooh, I don't like democracy now. Get off.
All right, Pyro, what you got for us, man?
Absolutely nothing. My name is Pyro, and like for the last like 7 weeks or so, I've been trying to get my computer up and running for streaming and shit. So like I finally got that down, and now I'm planning on like the most bullshit meme debates panel I can imagine. So look forward to that, because I think that's going to be fun.
True. Okay, appreciate you joining us. And then K Fellows, you just got done with your modern day debate with is it Ariel Scarcelli?
Ariel
Right?
Scarcella.
Ariel
Yeah.
Scarcella? Yeah. How did that go?
It went well. It was a little weird.
Yeah. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kay. I am a political activist of sorts, and I stream occasionally here on Tom's channel because that's all I have time for.
True. Here, let me see if I can make these bigger if everybody's in the center of their screen. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right. So yeah, did anybody have a topic that they wanted to start off with?
I'm up for anything.
All right. So
we got conservatives and leftists complaining about kids in cages.
Kids in cages. Yeah, I heard somebody mention that earlier. Why don't you tell us about kids in cages?
So basically, the Biden administration has reopened a facility that was previously closed down due to essentially lack of use, and a lot of the people on the left side of the spectrum when it comes to immigration policy are up in arms about it, and there's a lot of conservatives concerned trolling about it now because they want to be able to poke at liberals and be like, oh, wasn't cool when it was Trump, but it's cool when it's Obama, right? I mean, or Biden, right? So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look. I've heard that Republican talking point quite a bit, where they're always like, but like, Obama built the cages, yada 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 yada. Yeah. Was there any record of like Obama like separating families and putting children in the cages? Because it almost seems like a ridiculous argument. Like somebody's like going around like a chainsaw murderer, and then someone's like, but who invented the chainsaw? And it's like, that's not the argument here.
I would steal Man Fanatic's point even more. I'd just be like, is there any record of Obama setting up these cages, and he did do that, putting these people in these cages, and he did do that, but then being like, you know what? We're gonna do this more because it'll decentivize them from coming here. Did Obama ever have that like leak out of his administration over the 8 years?
They actually explicitly talked about that, and were like they mentioned like, oh, will this disincentivize? It was like, we got to talk about it, and then they're like, this is horrible. We should not do child separation as a deterrent. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, but then we do it anyways.
Yeah. Oh sorry. The Obama administration considered doing it for a deterrent, and then we're like, this is inhumane. Clearly, we can't do that. And then they went full bore in the next 4 years.
So their intelligence went out. There just wasn't any of that on the other side.
No, of course they had like one brain cell, and it was all locked up in Trump's head.
And Steve Miller was controlling controlling it. But to be my Libra self here a little bit, let me steel man the other side here. The kind of thing that the Obama administration did, they were trying to do as much due diligence as possible with the children in order to make sure that they didn't get sent to incorrect families, didn't get sent to like forced labor camps and things like this. And yet that still kind of happened. So I don't know exactly what people are expecting to happen with this.
Like, I think we could all agree it's like just a pretty fucking shit idea in practice. Like, we've seen how it's handled. Like, I don't really agree with any of it. When I'm looking about like the different administrations and why they've done it, like I look at it exactly like that. The Obama administration talked about this as a disincentive, and they were like, yeah, no, that's actually literally fucking inhumane. Ew, get it out of here. But it still kind of ended out that way in the same. Like, I look at that like, wow, you tried to do a good thing, but you failed miserably. Whereas like with the Trump administration, like we saw the fucking leaks. It's like, yo, This is good. This is fucking great. Keep them out of here. Get it? Like, this is gonna keep them out of here. They did that specifically.
That wasn't even leaks. That was just like 2 reporters in front of cameras.
I mean, but like, yeah, like we saw like the inner memos and shit, and it's like, should we do this terrible, inhumane thing to de-incentivize them? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. It's gonna work bigly. It's gonna go great. And I'm just like, that's a lot worse than like Barack Obama. Like, maybe we can fix this problem if we come at it, and like failing, and someone doing it like on purpose. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, you did it on purpose.
Yeah, I'm never gonna criticize someone, and I'm not a big Obama fan, but I'm never gonna criticize someone for like a thought entering their head. Like, this is a problem. It's been ongoing. Can this be a solution? I'm not gonna criticize someone. I don't even know that he's gonna be the individual. It's like, let's put these people in cages. You know what I mean? I'm probably someone that's a little bit more right leaning that came up with that idea. But in any case, the fact that it was like posited, I'm never gonna be upset at that, because you quickly realized before you did it, this is not okay. Like the fact that we were actually the fact that it happened, like, to the outcry of like the vast majority of the country, like on deaf ears, as these children have been like traumatized. It's wild. It's wild that that's the world that we live in.
I actually want to flip the script a little bit, like, because I feel like everyone here, like, I feel like we're tacitly saying what Obama did was like reasonable and what Trump did was completely unreasonable. But I think even the Obama position was unreasonable, right? Like, one of the reasons they built the cages or whatever was for it was juveniles, not children, but like unaccompanied juveniles who were coming over, generally as a result, I believe, and I could be a little correct on the exact reasoning, as a result of like the drug war and stuff. So a bunch of like 12 to 17-year-olds would be sent across the border by their parents to try and get them to like family members in the country. And those people who were put in cages supposedly temporarily, there was like, I believe, a legal case. I can't remember the exact specific
Flores amendment.
Yeah,
it was the Flores in the 90s. So that happened under Clinton, and the courts made it to where you can't keep a child in detention for more than 30 days.
So they were doing something terrible anyway. Like, there should have been this natural handoff and handling this through the asylum or immigration process after handing it back doing a verification process and then getting these juveniles over to family members within the country in order for them to like await the adjudication of the immigration process, which they were not doing. So
no,
like,
they
the
were
Obama
doing
thing
that.
Was still.
No, they were doing that. So that's the thing here. So what happened under the Obama
and release in general, though? I didn't think it was specific for that.
No. So what was happening under the Obama administration? This was I want to say it was like 2012 or so. There was literally thousands of kids coming across the border a day. It was overwhelming the system. It was overwhelming the foster care system, the nonprofit system, and the system used in order to pair the child with relatives in the United States. So they literally did not have the resources in order to quickly find their parents or somebody else to take care of them. You're talking kids that might not even know who their family member is. They might have had a note and got it lost or didn't speak English. So the entire system was just completely overwhelmed. And they did, I don't want to say the best that they could, because, they can always do better, but they did reasonably okay with that. Now, there was completely fucked up shit that happened. Like, don't get me wrong, there was the instance in like 2015 or so where a group of people agreed to take kids in. They were verified. They're like, okay, cool, they have like the space, they've taken care of kids before, whatever. Ended up being a forced labor camp to pick eggs from a farm. Like a massive industrial farm. And this is the biggest one that ended up getting like blowing up on the Obama administration. And that was them trying to actually do the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's important to like kind of like keep that distinction clear, like we're saying, between like trying to do the right thing and failing, and just like having the worst of intentions from the get-go, like with Trump. Because there's a danger here in the way that we frame it, in that people in this country are already black-pilled enough. I don't mean that in the MGTOW sense. I mean black pill is in just like they are already kind of given up, like, kind of in a nihilistic nihilistic state of mind, so to speak. And so like anything that pushes that narrative more to like, like you'd think it would be better under Biden, huh? Looks like it's not. Looks like it's the same damn thing. It's all one, horrible, reality that we're dealing with. That incentivizes people to either just like turn off or to like lash out without really thinking. In like, we've seen this like with like lefties, kind of giving like tacit support to like what was going on. It wasn't a lot of lefties, right? It was like distinct individuals, but like, talking about the kind of thirsting after the terrorists that were in the Capitol on January 6th. In a sense of like, well, I fucking hate the establishment so much. As long as these people are putting it in the eye of the establishment, I'm on board. And it's important to kind of like not get into that, like, everything's lost, like nothing matters sort of frame of mind through the idea that it's the same. It's not exactly the same. I mean, like the shit that Trump was doing to these kids is on a whole nother level of, deprivation and, essentially torture. And, like the Biden thing is fucked up and it's less than ideal. And it sucks that we do have this like framework, even under a supposedly progressive government. But we do have to remember that there's a huge world of difference between like what we're dealing with now and what we were dealing with back before January.
Yeah, and another point to mention about this is that right before 2020, the Trump administration removed any quote unquote non-essential things from these facilities. So when the Obama administration built up these facilities, they had things like rec rooms, entertainment rooms, private spaces. They had teachers. They had English teachers, so they were teaching the kids English as well as teaching them things in their native tongue, and all this. Trump got rid of all of that. Completely decimated the entire thing. They said they ran out of budget money, which might be true given the budget was passed under Republicans, but it was another thing to try to like disincentivize people crossing the border just in general.
Wasn't one of the big problems right now is that they don't know what to do with all of these people? Like they're wanting to empty it out, but there's nowhere to send them.
That's one thing that because like I looked into this when Biden first took office because I was like, yeah, what the fuck is gonna happen with these people in like the middle of COVID? And the one thing they said is like, the Trump administration was really obviously fucking terrible at like writing shit down and keeping track of it, especially when it comes to a group of people. Well, let's be honest, they don't give two shits about. Why the fuck would they detail where these people came from and whose parents are who and like have a plan in case something like this happened? And now Biden's team has to come in and like try and figure out this fucking mess, and this is like a logistical mess. Like nothing they do is gonna be good because like they're not working with anything to start with.
So real quick,
and there's been an increase in unaccompanied minors coming across the border as well. I don't know if that corresponds to Biden's election or if that predates it due to COVID. One of the reasons why they're reopening this facility is to try to uncramp some of the other facilities to make COVID less of an issue.
Yeah, it's like one thing if you're like doing it because you have more people. Another thing if you're like, we need to spread them out because like COVID-19 is the thing, Well, I was kind of thinking, they said they're reopening still. I'm like, I wonder if it's just because
it's both.
Trump didn't give a shit and it was just like, jam them all together, we'll be fine.
Here, real quick, Jola, what would you suggest they do with all of these camps right now?
I think this is a situation where, for example, lefty Twitter and lefty media can be sort of dishonest because you see the headline, Joe Biden opens up new facilities. When in reality, like Cypher was saying, there are a lot of people. More facilities means more spacing, better accordance to COVID guidelines. The conditions in these facilities are much better. They aren't given foil blankets anymore. They're given actual blankets and pillows, which is a big improvement. And this is really, I'm not saying it's the best the Biden admin can do, but this is also something that serves for the safety of the kids because there is a big issue of child sex trafficking at the border. That does happen if we don't give kids a proper place and a safe place to live. So, and also when we talk about the process of asylum seeking and everything, Donald Trump did not let the actual legal processes play out for anybody that was coming over. Joe Biden is doing that. So this is a lot better than obviously what Trump was doing. And this is another issue that annoys me with like lefty Twitter, like, oh, read the headline, get mad about it, don't look at the policy detail, because this stuff is really complicated.
All right, we're going to kick it over to City Cat real quick.
Yeah, thanks. So you guys talking about like the Obama administration and stuff like that. I am 19 and also Australian, so that was a bit for my involvement in politics. But Yeah, so from what I've read really quickly, I've seen lots of different headlines from different people. And from conservative outlets, it feels like it's being framed as like, oh, he's reopened up the camp. And from really lefty outlets, it's people are saying that he's opened up a new thing. But it sounds like there's somewhere in between where it's, yeah, he's reopened the old one, but it's different now. They're being treated much better. And it's being used like mainly for kids who are coming across, teenagers who are unaccompanied minors. And also because all of the other facilities are way too cramped because of COVID. They want to spread people out more. And yeah, and I think that they're having more unaccompanied minors now because like families are dying of COVID. So I'm assuming that might be a reason why there's more unaccompanied minors coming around. Yeah, but it feels like they've just like renovated the facility in some kind of way so that it's not like kids in cages anymore.
Well, we're gonna check in with K Fellows real quick, and then we'll go to Art Black.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that it's just an issue of like who's sitting in the White House either. I mean, it plays a huge part in this. But you also have to like take in consideration like who is running these facilities. Joe Biden isn't running these facilities.
That's true.
ICE is, and ICE is incredibly problematic. I don't think there's a single person on this panel that would disagree that ICE is incredibly. There are so many problems with ICE, and those issues were not being addressed in any way, shape, or form under the Trump administration. I mean, you had a nurse, a whistleblower, come forward and saying that non-English speaking women were being coerced into signing consent forms for hysterectomies. Like they did not realize what was going to happen to them, and they had their reproductive systems removed without knowing what was going to happen to them. You have issues of, sexual assault and rape being rampant in young women, even girls in these facilities. Like having somebody in the White House that is going to address these issues with the people that are running these facilities is like the big thing.
Quickly, Kay, do you know how many people were forced sterilized? So like I heard that anecdotally, and I'm sure it happened to more than one person, but was it like, dozens or thousands or something? Like, do you know the scale, or is that still unknown?
I don't believe it was in the thousands. I do believe we're looking at dozens. But because
still horrible. Sorry,
yes,
just to clarify.
yes, like regardless of the number, even if it was just one woman who was forced sterilized, is like a problem. But I don't think that it's been happening for so long that they've managed to rank up those numbers into the thousands.
It was done at a Georgian facility that had problems previously under the Obama administration that they got reprimanded for. You can look up the articles on it. ProPublica did an amazing job about reporting this and getting the story out there for the whistleblower and helping them be protected from retaliation. So I would just go ahead and Google that if you're interested in learning more.
Art Black.
Okay, so there's no way to get good results out of a bad plan, but the one way to get much worse results out of it is to not resource it right. So what we're doing, just trying to control the border at all in this fashion, is guaranteed to create problems. But when you're trying to do that, even if you're trying to do an honest job at it, if you don't have the right resources for it, when you have this volume of people coming across, you're going to just create conditions where even people who, if ICE was trying to do a level, legitimate, good job, they wouldn't have the tools for it. So you would wind up with situations like this where you just have, this theoretically honest organization that just can't do better. They don't have the resources to do better or the leeway to do better. And this is me being ridiculously generous. But even focusing on this at all about like kids in cages or like the hysterectomies or things like that, it's easy to personalize problems at that scale. But if you take a step back and think about why do we have these people coming in the first place? Why is this imbalance existing in the first place? And you step back and say, well, you have these refugees from the war on drugs, from American imperialism or adventurism from the Cold War on forward that destabilizes these countries or otherwise economically makes it so that they have undesirable conditions where fleeing north makes sense. It's something where we, in large part, create these conditions and then get upset that these conditions exist and try to put up walls or hostile camps to put people in or otherwise complain about it. But even at that scale, America has about 330 million people. We have maybe 15 to 20 million undocumented folks in the US. And to go back a little ways, Reagan gave amnesty to 3 million people back in 1986, just complete amnesty. But like No Comment Chick was saying, like the American public is so black-pilled right now that can you imagine Biden giving Romney Biden? Can you imagine Biden giving amnesty to 3 million people? Like the wheels would fall off this country. Like everyone would lose their minds. But like Ronald Reagan, like King Conservative, did that back in the day, and it was just like, well, we tried it, it didn't work. Like, unfortunately, the discourse has gotten so far off the rails towards things which are terrible, like kids in cages. That's a terrible problem. But the scale of this, those are just stand-ins for these arguments we don't want to have about these millions of people that we have displaced and now have coming to us for material conditions that are problems that we've just created. So unfortunately, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, do you know, like, speaking of that, like in terms of the, we were talking about the teenagers that were coming across the border unaccompanied during the end of the Obama administration. I do remember something happening in Honduras where there was actually like a coup that they found out later was somewhat supported by, the U.S. government, meaning, the State Department and Hillary Clinton. And that destabilization had something to do with the kind of like crime environment that was going on there, where if you did have a teenager, they would probably either be, taken into a gang, or they would be, likely, the victim of gang violence. Like do you think that had that was that like wave of immigration?
Well,
Absolutely.
yes, but this has just been an unbroken chain for the last 100 years of different meddling. Either from just military intervention, which is direct, to indirect things like the CIA operations, like you're talking about, to just the war on drugs, which is this constant. Imagine trying to run a legitimate government down there where you have these cartels that can destabilize you, paying off people, creating corruption. It's hard to get a legitimate footing when you have the U.S. up here, and then they're basically by proxy creating either rebel groups or criminal groups that are undermining you left and right. We're not giving that region a fair shake, and we never have. And then we get mad when the refugees show up at our door.
No comment, Chick, if you want to. Yeah, go ahead, Fanatic, and then we'll go to Cypher and then Pyro.
I do think, though, that there is a problem with this incentivization, though, because, like, what was it recently? So California just recently passed like a stimulus bill. And in that stimulus bill, they basically said that they would be giving out like, stimulus checks to like California residents and whatnot. But then they would be so California residents would be getting like a $600 stimulus check from the state. But anyone who wasn't able to get one because of like illegal, because they were like illegal or anything, they're giving them $1,200. So illegal immigrants in this state will be getting double from the state, like what the residents are getting. It does sound like a little bit of an incentivization. I can understand why that kind of thing right there in the middle of this pandemic, when people are literally starving and the state's been this deleterious and like actually addressing the issue, and then you address the issue by making sure you're taking care of them as well. I can understand how that kind of messaging is going to rub quite a few people the wrong way.
That's not a problem with like immigration or anything. That's like a problem with your government. Like I'm all for like taking care of like illegal immigrants in your area or whatever, but like that would be a problem I'd like bring with my local, like, one, if we're going to be taking care of these people, cool, why the fuck aren't you giving us more money too then? Like,
so hold on, just to clarify, I don't know this for 100% certainty, but if I had to guess, that bill is not just giving them double for the fuck of it. It's saying if you're not getting the federal stimulus, we're doubling the stimulus you're getting at the state level, because the California is at the state level.
Right.
Yeah. That's the reason.
But that means they're not getting
anything.
That doesn't actually fix the. That doesn't fix the.
Versus
no, because but
that doesn't fix the incentive.
It doesn't address the incentive, and then two, again, these are separate things. What the federal government is doing has nothing to do with what our state is doing. It has nothing to do with what our taxes are being funded for.
They're saying
no. I'm sorry. It only indirectly. I'm sorry. Let me just clarify.
Okay.
So it indirectly has something to do with it in the sense that the state is incentivized to do this for these people because of the fact that the federal government isn't. However, it doesn't change the fact that funds that should be used for residents of California are now being used for illegal immigrants in California.
Well,
which is something that
are residents though.
Well, the issue is,
but they're not legal residents.
The issue is from
for the spread of
perspective.
COVID. That's irrelevant though.
The issue is from the perspective of the
check
typical
doesn't stop the
person.
spread of COVID. What are you talking about?
Well, it stops a lot, though. It stops people who are going to fall into other more expensive government programs. So the reason you give people money in the first place is so they don't wind up consuming other government resources in ways that are way less efficient.
Right. But the
Like-
problem with the average person is
Like-
going to look at this and they're going to see that the person is being rewarded for breaking the law. That's how they're going to view this. It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
the federal
I
government
mean,
didn't
that
put
kind of
anything else
consideration
out there.
might or might not apply in a normal situation, depending on what your moral priorities, I guess, are. But I feel like in a situation like this, where their well-being is also tied to everyone else's well-being, it's like crazy how obsessed with the punitive aspect of oh, but they were doing something wrong though, you shouldn't benefit from doing something wrong, five head, you know what I mean? In a time like this, it's just seems crazy. It's just who would think of that, in an emergency situation? And I think that also clues us into the fact that that's not the only issue where our fates are tied together, where our welfares affect each other. I think we can all think of for instance, the unhoused homeless crisis. People, even rich people, probably hate going out into public spaces and seeing a whole bunch of unhoused homeless people, complaining about the smell and this, that, and putting it all on them, when in reality it's our system that's creating that crisis that reduces the quality of life for all of us. So I don't know, there's a little too much of, not being conscious of how
there's
we're all
only
sort of...
I wanted to say this earlier because Art Black hit up a really good point about the countries that's have a lot of migrants to the south of us we have been fucking with for the past 100 or so years, and that's just something that's true with United States history in general. We've done a lot, regardless of whatever side of the argument you're on, we fucked over a lot of groups of people for our own fucking benefit. Good or bad, that's up to you to decide. But then the other side is we decided it was easier to try and vilify those people rather than being yo, yeah, we kind of did this terrible shit, now let's kind of fix it. And we've been kicking that ball down the road, but it's not like a kickball, it's a snowball, and every time you kick it, it gets bigger and heavier and more fucking dense, and sooner or later we're gonna break our fucking leg.
All right, we're gonna go to Art Black and then Jola and then Cypher.
Oh, actually, I'll go to Cypher.
So, do you want to go to Jola first?
Or whoever. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sure. One big thing to consider as well with American society is we have such an issue for Americans, and I'm sure we all agree that there is a big issue, or most of us, or generally agree that there is sort of a xenophobia issue. There is an issue with Americans thinking why is the government helping these people that aren't Americans without helping their own citizens? This is going to be a big prevailing thought, and at the same time we already can't get people to care about people who don't have homes right now in America. So asking those same people who may be say white working class voters to care about the people coming over from the border is going to be a big task. And I'm not sure exactly how to get that messaging across, because of course Donald Trump was the big boogeyman, oh, this is the worst, he's openly going to be saying these bigoted things, he's openly going to be a crazy conspiracist. But now we get back to the really implicit issues within our system, and Americans don't really know what America has done with foreign policy to create refugee crises and stuff like that. So
yeah, to piggyback off of both Pyro and Jola's point, there are things the United States does at the benefit of its own citizens that have second and third knock-on effects on the rest of the world. For example, and this is something that nobody really talks about much outside of policy wonk circles, our agricultural subsidies completely decimated the entire subsistence and farm industry of Mexico. Our dams in the United States to provide a lot of our hydroelectricity have caused over the last 50 years entire waterways to dry up in Mexico, compounding the issue. And these are things that people did not know about 50 years ago. And they just are finding out about it now, and they're having to work on ways to revitalize these areas for waterways, vegetation, everything. And these are just things that people don't ever think about, and it just goes on to the snowball effect. That's why you have so many migrants from Mexico coming up. It's because people that were subsistence farmers or were growing things and selling it to market can't anymore, because now they either can't grow it or our subsidies price them out of the market.
And we can blow that up to just a lot of issues that everyone kind of points to in American society. Well, why do we have these issues? Oh, because 50 years ago, we did a really dumb fuck thing, and now we're reaping the consequences of it. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I don't have a
win those
disagreement with
farm
any of
votes.
those things. I really don't disagree with any of those things. I think the United States has been incredibly oppressive in certain ways. I do also recognize how our political system does very much benefit the world in other ways. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that, but I do think, our country, like just our handling of COVID in general, and as far as relief and things are concerned, has been absolutely insane. California is the 5th largest economy in the world. That it took us this long. I mean, this is literally almost a year. And California has been one of the strongest countries when it came to shutdown response in regards to COVID. And even with us doing that, knowing how absolutely, how it's affecting everyone. And I agree with that decision. I mean, Lord, we didn't know what the heck the virus was. We had to respond in that way. I'm fine with that. But like, considering how much that's affecting everyone, to take this long to do it is ridiculous. And then to give people $600 checks also sounds absurd. Yeah, I think that sounds absurd. And then to spend $1,200 on the illegal people in the country, it also sounds absurd, considering all of the other aforementioned things.
So, like, I would like a clarification, because, like, we had one earlier and it really shed a lot of light on it. Is it just for illegal immigrants, or is it for people who cannot get the benefits from the federal government? Because if it's for people who can't get the shit from federal government, well, then that's just not illegal immigrants. That's like, people who are dependent. That's fucking college students. That's a lot of people. And like other states were like, you can't.
No, but it's people over 18 who couldn't get the other things. So like it wouldn't be just dependents. It's specifically, they even like literally worded it so that people that file with I think a TINF for tax purposes, basically the people, because people who file with a TINF, they don't get they were excluded from the from the federal stimulus bonus. On top of that, we what's it called? People, it's still going to be means tested. So people who didn't qualify for the federal thing for making too much money, they still won't also be getting this thing as well. So it's not just, hey, we're just trying to make sure everyone who missed the federal thing is included. This thing is literally like verbally pretty, not just implicitly, but pretty expressly geared towards illegal immigrants. Yeah.
It seems like it's not exclusive. So I'm reading it right now. Sorry, it's a little bit hard because I'm not familiar with like California's laws and terms here. I'll see if I can post it if anyone else wants to read it. Yeah. But it seems like it's for anyone who files like taxes or fills out stuff, not with their social security, but with like an ITIN number or.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. And
yeah,
obviously
it seems like
California, the only people that are doing that, unless you can show me an example of literally any other person in the country that doesn't have that. Why would anyone else do that besides illegal immigrants? Can you give me a reason for that? Because that sounds like not a thing.
Well, they had other qualifications here. It's like the ones who didn't qualify because I guess it was because they earned too much, or maybe because they didn't file taxes. Maybe if they're being like, maybe it's if they were independents or something. Sorry, like I said, I'm just reading it right now. I just want to. Did I provide the link? Yeah. So I'm just trying to skim it, but. There's a lot of like technicalities. I don't live in California, so I have no idea what half these terms mean or like how they use generally speaking.
Yeah. So
the thing I want to clarify is like I think we're kind of beating on the bush here, but I feel like when you talk about like we're doing such illegals, it's almost like that America First type thing. Not in a bad way necessarily, but like we need to take care of our own before we help like other people, right? And excluding like people who might be here illegally. But that's sort of like coming around like the back end, right? Like by screwing over South American. So like to extend that, I would say like we should use our power to try and like help build up South and Central American nations. But you'll face that opposition doubly when you try and send like federal aid overseas or to South and Central America, which on the back end just comes around to screwing us where if like we're just
that's a federal thing. Hold on, no, but you're mixing two different things. So that would be a federal thing. The federal government already does a lot of that. No, but the federal government already does that, and I'm always going to be for that. Quiet, it's kept. I'm actually pro illegal immigration. The only reason why I say that is because I understand what those circumstances are like in those in some of the South American countries, and I know for a fact if I was in those situations with their government not doing anything and being completely dominated by the cartel, where I'm raising children and they're unsafe, there's literally nothing, no law that anyone's going to create that's going to stop me from trying over and over and over to get into this country. There's literally nothing you're going to do to stop me from doing that. And I totally understand why they would do that. And then considering the fact that we are one of the wealthiest nations in the world, we do have enough resources. If it wasn't for the fact that, there's just so many problems, right? Like, but so ultimately, the more illegal folks come over here, I'm not going to ever complain about that at the end of the day. And to be honest with you, just like as a Christian, I'm going to be okay with them giving the money to illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
I do just recognize how absolutely horrible it's going to be optically. I agree completely. And all of those things. But like ultimately, like I mean, I donate to charity. Like I'm all for it. Like I don't care in the end. Like do what you got to do. They should be doing more for us, but doing what you do for them, that's fine. Like at the end of the day, it's literally $1,200 from the 5th largest economy in the world. It's not going to hurt anything. We just need to figure out how the freak we're spending our money in the first place and do more for citizens as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. So.
This is the black pill that we were talking about earlier, where you think about how conditioned Americans are to hate poor people. I mean, especially our own, but to say nothing of other, folks from other countries. When you think about what they, immigrants, legal or illegal, contribute to the economy, this is why we bring them in. This is why we have brought them in since the beginning. And as someone whose ancestors literally shot their way into this country, the idea that we can't accept people who want to come here just to legitimately make things better, it never ceases to astound me, how new of a country we are and how arbitrary and how just completely ready we are to completely flip, the script that we never used. And now we're just going to have other people held to these standards that we never held for ourselves. So it kills me. But just on a optical level, Fanatic, I totally get what you're saying as far as you're going to have people look at it and say, oh, well, why are we giving these people something for nothing? Like they shouldn't even be here, yet we're giving away all this stuff. And it's optically bad only because we were conditioned to think bad things. And that's just an unfortunate part of our programming that we need to, overwrite.
Oh yeah, like 100%. Like the thing is, it's a bigger problem. We don't like poor people. For some fucking reason, America, as a country with all of its pull itself up by your bootstraps, anyone can be anything. We fucking hate poor people. Even some of the super cool lefties, when they get on their memes and shit, like what are their memes against conservatives? Ah ha ha, you're a poor fucking hick in the middle of nowhere with no fucking teeth or healthcare, blah blah blah. You're making fun of poor people, bro. Like those are the same people you're trying to defend. So like
that's not praxis.
Exactly. Right?
That's not praxis. Just in general, when it comes to money, though.
I don't know about y'all, but I have always depended on the kindness of strangers, Kaikona.
I'm dependent on the kindness of strangers as we speak.
All right, I have to intercede at this point because y'all are making fun of my people now. So.
No, I'm making fun of my people.
We're making fun of leftists. Are you a leftist guy?
I have some Kaikona. I have some Kaikona in me too, y'all.
I'm 1/4 Tennessee, all right? It's okay if I do this. But our black hit just like the perfect point. Like this is like just a part of a bigger problem. Like America doesn't like poor people. Not even that. We don't like poor people, but we don't like helping poor people, right? Like it's one thing to not like poor people. I don't like poor people, but my thing is like, yo, I'm gonna give you money and like hopefully you won't be what I don't like. And if not, your choice, you have the fucking funds. I'm not, you're American, live your life. But the government is just like, haha, yo, fucking die. Just like what was it they was telling people during like the beginning of COVID? Like the dude went on TV and was like, "Yo, grandma might need to die for the economy."
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That fucking cruise in the middle of like hell freezing over. Solidarity from Cancun.
Patrick.
No, I feel you, Pyro, because it's like it's not just that like we're going after these people for any random for being assholes. We're going after them for the shit that like that doesn't make you bad. That like should make me feel sorry for you. That should make me want to help you. But instead, I'm gonna make fun of you for all the things that I think you're weak for, and I'm not gonna, actually like address the issue of like, the problem being like the striking out against
Exactly.
like other
And, like,
marginalized people. Like it's a lack of solidarity that's the problem. It's not the fucking red hat or the NASCAR or something.
And like to like bring it back to immigrants, because I do realize I went off on a bit of a tangent. And just like when I see people talking about illegal immigrants, not anyone on this panel, like a lot of people like to focus on like, oh, they're bringing drugs in and crime and and like, dude, we have that in America. Have y'all not been? What's the conservative meme? Detroit, don't go to Detroit. Like we have this shit in America. It's not new. Let's
Also,
stop
don't
pretending.
let Detroit vote.
Yeah,
That's-
like I like just looking how we handled this issue in the past. Like at one point we were literally that like, give us your weak, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, blah 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 blah.
And then we just we amended that. We just put so we can euthanize them at the end.
And now it's just like, hey, listen, we don't want any of the shithole countries here. So like, if only the smart people could come to America, that'd be great. And
don't say
why
we.
are we pulling
That was
back?
Trump.
All right.
No, I say we as a country. Like,
and by smart, he meant white.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we could talk.
We're gonna move on to something else.
right.
We're
Is
gonna
this
get
that
in.
super dark and like dark humorish? Super quick.
Hey.
No.
I'll take responsibility for that. I'm sorry.
We're trying not to make
point
any
got
black
through,
pills
though.
tonight. Yeah.
So one of the things that Trump promised that didn't come to fruition was getting out of wars, right? Trying to bring all the troops home, not becoming the world police anymore. And it seems as though the United Nations like backs us up every time we want to go out and be the world police. Though there are a lot of bad things that happen in other countries that other countries don't seem to do anything about. Should the United States continue being the world police? And I'm going to go to our correspondent in Australia. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes,
We'll
that's
start
right.
with City Cat.
This is like yet another topic that I can't really talk about like at all. But I don't know anything about this.
So they don't ever do anything in Australia. They don't go
Well,
over
we're
there
like
and mess
allies
with,
with you. You guys don't really mess with us at all.
You're part
we
of the
mess
Five
with
Eyes
all of
guy.
our
It's
allies.
like Jurassic Park down there. Why would we?
Yeah,
We're American.
We go
not
down there to look
crazy.
at their kangaroos.
yeah. Trump didn't even come to Australia at all during his whole term. Like we're
Lucky.
we're
You're
like strong
welcome.
allies with you guys, and he like talked about coming down, and there were protests. There were like riots in the streets of Australia. We didn't want you guys here, especially him.
Well, the national
so
bird attacked him.
If you guys own Greenland, he would
Yeah.
have visited you to try and buy it. So, that was my favorite Trump moment, personally. Hilarious.
Yeah. There's not really much I can say about this. He doesn't really think you guys don't really bother us.
Can I offer a controversial take?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do
We'll
it.
go to GKR.
If we're gonna do world police, I'm all for Monroe Doctrine to Electric Boogaloo. Like, yo, we're gonna take care of this side of the planet and leave the rest of that to like the Europeans, whoever takes the fucking power vacuum. Because what we're doing
To
now
Russia?
by trying to fuck it, I don't give a fuck.
China?
Right? I don't give a fuck.
No.
What we're doing now is
Mm.
not fucking working
More
and trying to
xenophobia.
do the world police thing. I'm all for taking care of these two fucking continents and maybe Greenland, maybe if they like, if they take me out for a nice steak dinner. Like, we still have some countries to play with, but like we're not trying to overextend ourselves to the detriment of like our own citizens, our own backyard and shit, causing trouble in fucking other countries, which like they have to clean up and we have to clean up and shit like that. May not be the best idea, but like, holy shit, we need to start somewhere. And I don't see America just being like, you know what? We're done with the military industrial complex. That's just not going to happen.
No.
Hold on, but
What do they even have for steak over there, caribou?
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, you guys are probably gonna disagree with me a lot. But we make memes about like the U.S. taking care of the rest of the world. But like, man, we were the ones contributing like something like 95% or something stupid to NATO, where like the rest of the countries didn't have to do anything because they knew Big Daddy USA had their backs. So, like, I mean, other people were putting literally like 0.5 to 0.3% of their GDP, while the United States was like putting like 50% or something ludicrous. So then, like, our NATO contributions were insane, while they literally put nothing, all because they were part of NATO and knew, well, if anybody messes with us, then the US is going to go to war with them. So that's going to be the deterrent we have. So we can just go ahead and focus on all of our infrastructure, taking care of our citizens and whatever the freak you want. And I don't know. I feel like as much as we want to talk about how bad the US does do some things extremely well. And one of those things is our defense. And I do think that sometimes that defense comes at the cost of other things that needed to be done for the citizens. But like, we can't downplay the role that the US plays in, like, you know, being the big brother for the rest of the country, for the rest of the world.
Yeah, but let's be real. Like, there was something in it for us to be the big brother. Like, we got control out of that. We got to push other countries around. We wanted that. We needed that. We wanted to form the whole world in our image and say, like, we got a capitalist democracy and you should have a capitalist democracy too.
Yeah, we got kind of what we have today. We're like, America's the superpower. Like, no one can really fuck with us because of our superpowered status and shit like that. Like, this was the goal.
But I mean, we were buying their complicity, kind of.
Like, the U.S. is a superpower because of our nuclear capability and because of the size of our freaking armada and because of the size of our military industrial complex. Like, we're the superpower because of everything that we're doing for ourselves. We're not the superpower because of our alliances. We pretty much, everyone else wanted to everyone wanted to join. Everyone wanted to be part of NATO, and we were able to influence them.
Well, yeah, you can get attacked if you're not.
So, like, we could bring up NATO and shit, but, like, what happened that, like, caused NATO to form? What happened where America became that, like, big brother where everyone was like, oh, I want to hang out with them. I want to hang out with them. What were the events that led up to this? What happened in, you know, world history that, like, led to America being seen as the big brother? Where, like,
us staying out of a war for a really long time until the very end when we could come in and save the day and kind of set the rules, something
twice,
like that.
Yeah, twice. We did it fucking twice. We stayed out of the war for the majority of it, came in at the end of the day and declared, yeah, America, hoorah, yeehaw, giddy up. And the first time we tried to do the whole UN NATO thing, failed miserably. And then fucking World War II happened and we got our chance again and we fucking did it again. Like, yeah, like, it wasn't just like America doing the things out of its best interest led to us naturally becoming a world power. We took advantage of some pretty shit situations, some other countries and shit to do this.
No disagreement.
But I mean, to be fair, like, I do want to honor. Oh, sorry.
No,
I do want to honor what you're.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go.
We did it again. Sorry. It's Discord. Or it's not even Discord this time. It's something at StreamYards.
It's the NSA.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, like, you know, I want to honor what you're saying about, like, you know, that we did, you know, some good things for sure. We were on the right side of World War II. That's a good thing, you know, that we didn't pick other allies that, you know, I mean, like, I'm not trying to take a big old shit on the US of A for no reason. But, like, you know, I just want to point out that, like we got something out of the fact that we were Big Daddy for everyone. Like, you know, we basically benefited from that too. And a lot of it wasn't really so much to protect them. They're just kind of under our umbrella, you know, just by virtue of them, you know, being on our side of the world conflict.
Sure, I agree.
Just to quickly clarify those UN numbers, we threw around like a bunch of terms. The US isn't like they do a lot of the NATO funding, but it's not like countries are contributing like fractions of a percent. It's that
they've
like
just recently upgraded it as of 2018. As of 2018,
yeah, sure.
Like quadrupled.
I just want to say how far we are. So the U.S. wasn't like at 90. You cross like a few numbers. So like it was at 2% of your GDP is supposed to go towards military spending, and some countries were significantly below that. Now, like I just have a random list in front of me. I don't know what year it's from, but the U.S. is at 3.6%, which is obviously we spend a lot on our military, which is understandable. And there are some countries approaching or around like 2% now. So I'm sure that did play a role in it, but it wasn't like the U.S. was doing 90% that whole time. It was like. Or that we were spending like so much more than them. It was like about twice, I guess.
No, look at the numbers. When you start talking about percentage of GDP, first off, the United States is literally the largest economy in the world. So percentages of our GDP is significantly higher than everyone else. Number one. Number two, not spending the stuff just independently on your own military, but contributions to NATO. Some of them were literally doing less than 1% of their GDP to NATO, while the United States was doing all of it. It was absolutely absurd. The numbers were ridiculous. Like simply saying, yes, they've like increased their amount. No one's going to disagree with that. They did increase it. And that actually came, I hate to give him credit for it, but by way of some of Trump's bullying, where it's like, yo, you guys have to start doing more. And as a response, because you're saying like, we'll pull out of freaking NATO, which would have been like the most ridiculous thing to ever do. Obviously, just such a terrible idea. But by him putting that pressure on them, then they did start contributing more. Like, and that did happen. Those numbers were absolutely absurd. Like, don't look at just the numbers now. Look at how the numbers have changed, and still just look at like the contributions. I think the actual number was 75% of NATO contributions were from the United States.
I was gonna say, I would imagine it would have been somewhere like 60 to 70%. Wouldn't surprise me, just because
That's
like
insane.
Well, no, when you bring the GDP thing into account, it's not, right? The U.S. is like what, a 20 trillion GDP like country versus the remainder of these. Like NATO's just like a fraction of the European Union. I don't even think it's all EU nations. I might be wrong on that, but so even the EU's GDP approaches like the US's GDP, but it's still not the same. So you're talking about like a lower percentage of a smaller number. So it's like proportionally, like they weren't like that far off. It was like 60, not 90%. I was being a little bit of a pedant there.
No, it wasn't just 60. In 2011, we were 75%. That's the exact number. In 2011, we were 75% of all NATO contributions, for sure. In 2008, we were 50%, and by 2011, we jumped up to 75%. That's an absurd number, considering there's 28 nations there. 28 nations, 28 sovereign nations, and we're 75%. You cannot say that doesn't have like an insane benefit on their economy and their ability to focus more on their own independent infrastructure, and not even, and again, on top of like our NATO spending, our percentage of spending on our own military was significantly high. Like it's significantly higher than every other nation in the world. In fact, at one point, I remember them saying something like, if we were to combine all of the other nations of NATO in and compare their military to their military spending to ours, the United States eclipsed all of them combined. So the idea that we weren't Big Daddy USA protecting all of these other nations is just absolutely true. And then it allowed other countries like Norway, Sweden,
I
and
never
Finland,
disagreed with that part.
Okay, then it allowed other countries like Norway, Sweden, and Finland to get together and then say, hey, we're going to go ahead and create a pact between us, a trilateral military agreement that we're going to have between us three, even though Sweden and Finland aren't part of NATO. So then that means now, if anybody messes with Sweden and Finland, Norway got their back. And if anybody messes with Norway, US got their back. So then at the end of the day, it gives them like a proxy admittance into NATO without any contributions and without even having like a non-committal like proxy involvement there. I think that was a little bit absurd.
Oh, come on. Do you really think we were going to let Sweden go down to communism?
No, we were not. Thank God. But I like the fact that we're doing that. I think communist China and I think freaking Russia are both absolutely insane. Like China's literally doing genocide in their country right now. Like it's wild as freak. So the idea, like they're literally doing forced slave labor to pick cotton. So like, yeah, the idea that we're gonna ever like take our hands off and let China have anything, like what we're letting them do to Africa is absolutely absurd. But it's because the U.S. doesn't care about anything with black skin. But yeah, so I'm not saying that like what we were going to do was not. It was gonna be a good thing regardless. But it's just the idea that like what we do in this country, like we always want to demonize this country. Like leftists always want to talk how bad the U.S. is. But if we look at biotechnical advancements, like the U.S. is responsible for more biotechnical advancement than literally the rest of the world combined, because we spend that much more money. The next country is less than 16% of their less than 16% of all biotechnical, less than 16% of what we put out. The second best country in the world for biotechnical advancements. And that is a benefit, because when we make these advancements, those other countries then get our stuff and then start using that stuff for their citizens. So they're getting the benefit without the subsidies, without like all of the other compromises, without the spending. It's absolutely absurd. US is like Big Daddy United States of America. We live in a freaking great country. Like it is absolutely great. Do we do absolutely atrocious and horrible things? Yes. What we've done to Native Americans was stupid. What we did to Hawaii was stupid. What we did to the Philippines was stupid. What we did to the West Indies is stupid. United States has done awful, terrible, horrible things all around the freaking globe. But I just hate the fact that we only focus on that and ignore all of the insane good that the United States does.
I guarantee you a few of us will happily yell about how much China sucks. At least me and Cypher, I'm pretty sure, based on the China comment from before. Like, I'm not happy that the U.S. stepped out of like the State Department influence in helping develop Africa, because because you made that comment like the leftists don't give a shit about like black people in Africa. Like I don't think that's true.
I said
Like
the
this
US.
is not the
You
topic
said
we're
US.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that was like the State Department, like back. Sorry, I thought it was a comment about like left-wing people in general. I'm like, yeah, many of them are sort of like U.S. focused, but that's true of like all Americans, unfortunately. But
yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you think about like having things perspective. It's great to say what's the alternative. So if you think about we have America on top, well, what's the alternative? Complaining about Europeans aren't spending enough on military spending, that's a valid point unless you think about the alternative. There was several hundred years where the Europeans were armed to the teeth, and those times were not awesome. So then the punchline was Nazi Germany and World War II. So we now have a entirely different Europe where they basically just fought themselves into ruin. And we are now in a position where we are stepping in because they spent centuries tearing themselves apart and they're just over it. They just had beaten themselves to death and were ready for some other force, to basically, occupy and pacify, which is what happened. So yes, Europe could do more. They could buy more weapons. They could arm up again, but maybe this is a better direction. And yes, you could say America does provide stability and it's great that we're doing it instead, but it also takes us 10 minutes to run through all the terrible things that we did to say, but we're better than China or Russia. That might technically be true, but we should really never let the fact that we're the better alternative be enough. Like we should never get comfortable with that. And that's all that I would say is that yes, it's true that we are a counterweight to worse things, but we've lined our pockets doing it. A lot of terrible things have gone on under that name of at least we're not the Nazis or at least we're not the Russians or whatever. We've let a lot of shit slide under that kind of defense, which was the same thing with like the Democrats and Trump. They're like, well, we got to stop Trump. Anything's okay as long as we stop Trump. Like once you kind of get into that mindset of, well, this evil is so evil that anything is permissible to stop it, it's easy to lose perspective. So all I'm saying is that we should never let our standards slip. And yes, other people are worse, but that doesn't mean that we should be really, really bad because other people are worse. We should always strive to be our best selves.
I think that standard is just really fucking low too, right? Like the standard of like, oh, the absolute evil is like enslaving half of the population, killing the other half, and then going on a fucking imperialistic march across Europe. Like, really? Because we're not that. We're just not fucking. Yeah. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm done.
After, let's see, we're gonna go to Kay and then Jola and then GKR, or if anybody else has anything else after that. Kay?
My position on this is overwhelmingly no. I don't think that the United States is really in any position to be telling other countries what they should and should not be doing. I mean, who are we to involve ourselves in issues in other countries, like amongst themselves, and say that we know better than what is going on in these countries? Yes, there are atrocities going on in other countries. There are horrible things that governments are doing in other countries. But who are we to come in and say, like, we got this, we're going to handle your shit, and then we're going to benefit like shit tons of money off of getting involved in something that has absolutely nothing to do with us. And on top of that, while we're benefiting off of getting involved in issues in other countries that have nothing to do with us, we're ignoring the shit ton of problems that we have in our own country. I think that there are certain things that, there's a list of things that need to happen, and America ignoring what is going on here in their own country while also going over and policing other countries and telling them what they should and should not be doing is incredibly problematic. And I think it was Art Black that kind of hinted at the fact that we're not doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. We're not doing this because we genuinely care about the citizens of these countries or the atrocities that's happening. This is all a big money grab. It's just to line politicians' pockets and continue to profit off of it. And I think that that's a huge issue that also needs to be addressed. The fact that this isn't because we actually genuinely care. There's not anybody that is currently sitting in the United States government that's we need to go over and help these people. No, it's all a big money grab.
No, but we do though. That's the thing. You can't say who are we to do this, because the answer is we are the largest contributor to NATO, literally being Big Daddy USA for the rest of these other members of NATO. We're also literally the largest contributor to the World Health Organization. We spend a lot when it comes to sending food and other resources around the world. We literally just, which was mind-boggling to me because it was in like a COVID freaking thing. We literally sent $8 million over to freaking Iran for gender studies. Or was it?
It was Pakistan, and it wasn't gender studies. It was for gender equality things. So trying to get girls into schools.
Yeah, but the part of that was like literally specifically a study. Part of that involved a study to determine the outcomes that were happening as a result of gender to try to see if these things could be offset.
Yes, but the conservative narrative is that it was going to like liberal institutions for like gender studies degrees. That's the only thing I was correcting. The misconception.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that.
I know, but I'm saying the audience might not know exactly that that's the case. That's all.
I respect it. But the fact is, we do a lot. We do a lot of harm. What we did to Cuba was atrocious. What we did to Haiti is absolutely mind-boggling, and it seems like almost no one knows about that. It's crazy as freak to me. Again, we do a lot. We do a lot of bad things, but like the question of like, who are you to do this? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, like if we really look at what the United States does, the benefits of the rest of the world, when it comes to all of the benefits they get from our biotechnical advances, when it comes to the World Health Organization and how much they help the rest of the world, when it comes to NATO and obviously how that keeps Russia and China in check for our two biggest threats right now, like we do a lot. When it comes to our charitable organizations, when it comes to like our charitable organizations in other countries, when it comes to feeding the poor, feeding and so on and so forth. In the middle of pandemics, the United States is typically the coronavirus, I feel like almost distorts our understanding of the role that the United States plays when it typically comes to these kind of things. And the reason why that is because we had Trump who was literally just denying it. But the United States is typically the big brother anytime any sort of problem happens anywhere else in the world. That's why the United States typically feels like they have some sort of incentive or some sort of authority in some sort of situations to be over there, to tell other countries or to get involve ourselves in other countries. And we recognize if we don't do that, it creates such insane amounts of problems. If we don't step in very often, now we weren't the largest contributor when it came to World War II with Germany, right? Like we weren't, that wasn't our biggest contribution, although we were involved there. If we didn't get involved in that war whatsoever, we might have had an entirely different outcome. So it's very, very often that the United States does play such a pivotal role in the development of the world. So I think the fact that we involve ourselves, like sometimes it is like, disgusting in the way that we do, but sometimes it's absolutely necessary. And it sucks to be on this side of the world where we can see these outcomes and then distance ourselves from it and say we shouldn't be doing anything when we can't see what would have happened in God knows how many of these situations if we didn't intervene.
I don't think anyone's talking about like just general intervention. I think we're just talking about like America coming in, waving our dicks around and saying, yo, we know what's best for you. Fuck your leaders, fuck your people, fuck everything you might think about yourselves. We're gonna like take control and install our own puppet leaders, or we're gonna take control and like fucking run this area until we've extracted the resources and shit. I think that's what people are talking about. Like,
okay, so if we frame it in that way, yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know. I don't think any person can disagree with that, but I don't feel like that was the original framing.
I think there's America's kind of got this like, for lack of, no, I'm not even gonna say it. So it's kind of got this diametric polars on it. We at one point we want to be like world police and going through and running shit because we're just the biggest dude on campus and we're just going to run everything because that's who we are. Fuck you. That's why. Right. And then on this other hand, we have this situation where the United States is actually kind of this moral somewhat bastion of where we want to like intervene in genocide, where we want to intervene in maybe stopping a communist country from taking over another country. Somebody's got a lot of feedback.
It's probably no comment, Chick. I know her mic's messed up. She's not there right now.
Well, no problems. So, but yeah, so for example, the 90s, pretty much every intervention in the 90s was a good intervention. We stopped a genocide in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We stopped a potential genocide in Kosovo. We stopped another country from being belligerent. We stopped Saddam Hussein from going into Kuwait and taking over Kuwait. So these interventions were positive things. But and Korea, you can go back in history. Korea was a positive intervention as well. But then we have a slew of this other stuff where it's us trying to be like, no, we wanted our material interest to be put forward. So let's dispose of the socialist socialist government and reinstall the Shah in Iran, and so on and so forth. So I think we have this, like, we need to focus on both of those things to get the fuller picture of what the United States has done historically.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't do that.
I
Yeah,
totally
I
agree with
think,
everything you said.
I
No,
think
I'm
if you
just-
ask like a lot of if you ask like a lot of like non-dipshit lefties, and there are a lot of dipshit lefties out there, okay, they'll say
True.
like the U.S.
True.
is the least bad alternative in like a geopolitical sphere, right? Like China, not better than the U.S. If the EU ever wanted to stand on its own two legs, like and become some sort of like like large influential sphere, maybe they would be better, but they don't want to do that, so here we are. But I just want to because I think Tom's want to wrap up this section anyway. Like I don't think most people on the left generally hate America. The reason we have to keep talking about like the problems that America does or the bad things America does is because we seem to have to keep relitigating these things. My degree is in like criminal justice, and the amount of people have to argue like, oh, is systemic racism real? Oh, like did we target black people like horribly? And, like I still have to have this argument, and if I have to have this discussion, then like I can't like give you prescriptions for a problem that you're not even acknowledging exists. So like we have to talk about the bad things America does so that we can like improve on those and then get better from there. And like that's the only reason like the left in general has to harp on these, because we're the only ones who care generally. Yeah. Like
the problem with Americans is we're victims of our own marketing. Like we have this idea of like truth, justice, the American way, this kind of mythos we built up. But we learned that, but we don't learn history. So like we can look at us versus Nazi Germany and say, wow, it's a good thing that we won, but we can't get ourselves to look 100 years prior to that and say, oh, as far as the Native Americans are concerned, the Nazis did win. Like they got exterminated. We just wiped them out and took all of their stuff. And what we get credit for stopping the Germans, nobody stopped us. We just won.
I mean, like the biggest point
history
to
is.
that is like fucking studying it. It's like, oh yeah, the one thing you learn in like a fucking history course is like everything the fucking Nazis did, they got like from America.
They almost came over in the 20s.
Like almost everything they did, you could point to some shit the Americans did with the natives or African Americans or
they're
some
like, oh
other
yeah,
group.
they were doing that good. Let's take that.
And exactly the eugenics shit. They got that from America. There's a reason we fucking stopped after World War II. We realized it wasn't a good fucking look.
And just as the weird way history played out, we wound up being the better alternative. And because we believe our own marketing, we've actually have, as a nation and as a people, we have slowly gotten better over time. And while America has done terrible things, we also have the capacity to grow and get better. And we, while screwing up massively along the way, at least are working towards something better. Well, we should give ourselves credit for that. But it's so hard to contextualize that when people refuse to look at the past honestly, and then they have this warped view of the present as well. So it's unfortunate because we really are capable of being better, and we are getting better and doing better. But my God, just try to have an honest conversation sometimes, and for those of you with hair, you want to pull it out.
So I know I said so. One last thing I want to end that, like the whole Civil Rights Act, and even like the end of convict leasing, which was like basically slavery that existed until the 1930s. Like one of the reasons we got. Yeah, that's true. It does. Less directly, but
the
still there.
1930s, it's still there. We still have the slavery. What are you talking about? Like it's literally
convict leasing was directly to. Sure, that's the reason we had.
He's
like,
talking about
it was much more direct. Yeah, so like we kind of like got rid of that and did like the Civil Rights Act in response to like Cold War propaganda, because they're like, oh, they say they're a beacon of freedom, but look how they treat the blacks, and then they're like, we have to stop treating the blacks poorly. It's making us look bad to everyone else. That's like, the only reason we did it.
All right,
like, oh, God.
True.
Anybody else got anything else?
Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
one more
topic.
thing. You just got to realize the big one, the fucking Nazis. We didn't even enter the war to save the Jews or anything. We entered the war because Japan attacked us first, and we're like, yeah, no, that's not going to stand.
People didn't. To be fair, though, people didn't know about what was happening with the Jewish people until we got to Germany, until Russia got to Germany. To be fair, just to piggyback off of what GKR, sorry, man, was saying earlier about lefties and foreign policy and stuff. I'm old enough to remember when the left was still free Tibet, and it's really disgusting to see them try to be Chinese apologists now. I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. So for the last topic, this was suggested in the chat. We always do the last topic from the chat. This one was suggested by Ico Rules. She wants to know what you guys think your political blind spot might be. I know over time, we all got more and more integrated with or used to minorities, Trans people have been the new blind spot that we've all kind of awakened to. Gay people before that. I wonder sometimes if maybe furries are going to be the next thing. Like if that's a blind spot that that I don't think much about. We'll start this one off with with Pyro.
My biggest political blind spot is motherfuckers who like just won't open their minds like a little bit, like the window when it's hot, but like a little bit cold. You just want to open it a little bit. Like, I can talk to people who disagree with me. I can understand people who disagree with me. But when you're just like, no, you're just fake news, man. There's nothing to it. You're just lying to me. I'm like, bro, what the absolute fuck? And those are my moments of weakness when I'm like, you know what? Get them out of here. I don't care how. Just get them out of here. Helicopter rides, I don't care. Train, I don't give a. Get them out of here. I don't want to see them. Unfortunately, that's like a lot of people in this country. So like that's my biggest hang up, having to deal with the large sect of this country that just isn't in tune to it. And when they are, they're just like, yo, fuck everything the mainstream tells me because they lied to me that one time. The McRib was never coming back.
Okay.
I like the McRib, like, yeah.
It's 2021. I'm still waiting for that fucking sandwich. It's not coming back.
I'm happy I wasn't the only person who enjoyed that. The rest of you didn't appreciate it. He could have went with the real thing. Like, they said there was a 99% chance Hillary Clinton would win. I'm like, that was never true. But just like the McRib thing, I think makes it better because it's just equally as absurd as the Hillary Clinton thing.
All right.
Wow.
Hopefully somebody's got something that's not a meme. Let's go to
that was not a meme. That was 100%
Jola.
true. Like, I added in the joke at the end, but that's 100% true. I don't know how to deal with those people. And like, it's a lot of them. So like, the fuck do I do for like political effectiveness? I have to talk to them. I have to hear what they say, but they're fucking dense.
Okay. All right, Jola, go ahead.
In general, I think a lot of us on online discourse, we do have a hard time talking to like normie people who are not political fanatics, who don't obsess over politics and know every detail. And a lot of that is a rhetorical battle. A lot of it is stuff we don't consider whatsoever. For example, like people on the left talk about like we need to ban fracking right now. But if we banned fracking in the northeast of the US, for example, a lot of people, due to energy costs, would be driven into poverty because of that, because of heating stuff and all of those issues. And also stuff like electric cars. Not only are they bad for the environment, it's like a virtue signal if you have one, but that hurts poor people. And I'm not sure anybody here really pushes that forward, but I see that a lot with progressive circles. Like, oh, we need electric cars. We need to have all these good environmentally friendly things, but they're ignoring the reality of how this policy develops at the state level, at the local level, how it's implemented, and how it's actually going to, how the externalities are actually going to affect people. So I think really bringing it from the idealist perspective to a more pragmatic perspective is probably my biggest blind spot still that I'm trying to fix.
Okay. Kay?
Okay, I'm gonna probably get a lot of shit after this, but I think that as my like political views have evolved over the years of being involved in political activism, I've been a political activist for 7 years now. I think my political blind spot is religious people. I really, really struggle. I think like having come from being a traditional Christian conservative Republican to now being a more progressive pagan libertarian, I really, really struggle with people that cannot differentiate that separation of church and state being a two-way street and wanting to put their religious view on absolutely everything in political discourse. It drives me absolutely insane. Like, I respect your personal religious views, but whenever we're talking about how we're going to function as a society and specifically how we're going to function like politically, there needs to be that separation there.
Okay. We'll go to no comment chick and then City Cat.
Okay, so we're talking about what's our one blind spot that we feel like we need to work on in terms of politics, something that we're not paying enough attention to that we should be, right? Did I get that correctly?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it sounds like.
Okay, so I would say that based on what I was seeing from my chat, as soon as I like took a little bathroom break there, I feel like I got way too many tankies in my community. I'm gonna have to purge the place. Holy shit, that was like a bunch of cringe. Like all this gorilla gang shit. Who's this infrared person? Who does anybody know who this is? Like I've got gorillas and fucking suns and like, you know, USSR flags, mentions of Juche. I don't know. I think I have entirely too many tankies in my community. I don't know how they snuck in, but I got to get rid of them. So that's you know.
They weren't a fan of our China bashing.
Tankies out.
You need to start. You need to start acting like a tanky then, and really build that community up.
I think that if I'm really hardcore in terms of, you know, purging them, that would be a good way to disincentivize, you know, that sort of thing in the future. If they just know that I'm going to come down with an iron fist on them if they keep posting tanky memes in my chat.
Send them to Gulag.
What the fuck, chat? What the fuck?
What you need to
Oh
do
my
is
god!
you
Can somebody
need
ban
to
them?
build
Can
a
somebody
wall.
ban them? What's going on in my
and have the
chat?
tankies
I'm losing
pay for
control. The mods, they got the mods. The mods aren't with me anymore. Oh my god. No, I've got a lot of problems here. You go to somebody else. I gotta clean up my community.
Or those
Apparently,
Chinese flags that they just.
are they Chinese flags? I can't tell. I thought that.
Yeah, while you were gone, they
Yeah,
were
that's
just
what it looked
spamming.
like.
They were
the
posting like
Chinese
hammer and
flag.
sickle earlier.
Looked
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. Like,
hammer and
chat, I'm in an
sickle, okay.
infinite regress here. What am I supposed to do with this? What do you want me to do with this? Holy fucking shit! I can't believe things got this out of control. You know.
Like
I was
being the
wondering
leader
how
of
that
a
was
country,
happening. What was
stepping
going on?
out, and then
I
like
think
coming back to
I think I
revolution.
might be able to shed some light on what's going on with their comment chick. So there's a tanky called Infrared, and he's kind of he's been around. I don't know how long he's been around, but he's debated Vosh and debated in quotes the Vosh and Destiny recently, and he's been known in both of those communities to come and spam that community beforehand with gorillas and sun emotes.
Oh my god.
And spam about Infrared and debating him. So that might be what's happening to you right now.
Well, it sounds like I got a debate after this debate.
Do it.
Do it.
We'll talk to Infrared afterwards. Okay.
Okay. So in terms of, I guess, my political blind spot, I'm pretty far left. And I struggle a lot with like internalized misogyny that I'm still kind of dealing with. And how I think it's around, I think sex workers is probably my big thing. Like, I'm a huge supporter and everything, but there's always like, especially with my family and the way I was raised, it's always like, oh, but like those people are below me. And I need to get over that because I don't actually believe that. But there's always that little thing of like prejudice that has been ingrained into me, which is, and like I remember back when I first joined Twitch, I was one of those people who would be like, oh yeah, no, titty streamers on Twitch, man, those women they suck. Fuck those women. And it took me like a second to be like, what kind of fucking feminist am I? Like, these women can do whatever they want. They don't deserve any hate. And I think that I needed to get over that. That was something that I needed to work on myself. And I think obviously American centric issues can be a bit of a blind spot for me. And being so young, things that are like older is a bit of a blind spot for me as well. But I think what's important is being able to recognize them and work on them with blind spots.
Okay. Fanatic, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, so I think my biggest blind spot is like literally just global politics. But I don't know, I guess I feel like in a way it's kind of intentional. I feel like it's kind of, it blows my mind how much interest and how much interest in information everyone like intentionally gathers about the rest of the world. Meanwhile, within our own country, like the propaganda, the anti-Black propaganda, and the abject failure at civil rights within this country for simply African Americans, I would say it's just mind-boggling. It's wild, and like regularly, I'm constantly learning, even about my own Black history. like it's wild to me, like how distant I've always looked at, like, you know, Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement, and then like eventually learning, like, wait a minute, my mother was like literally 14 years old when they made it legal for interracial marriage, or the house that my grandmother bought was like bought before they had signed the Civil Rights Act allowing blacks to live in white neighborhoods. And like so recognize my dad, I just found out in Florida, we went to Florida at the beginning of this year. My dad drank from a freaking blacks only fountain. And so, like, recognizing how uninformed it was, I still know literally nothing about Martin Luther King. I still, man, I just learned about like how atrocious Bill Clinton was for, you know, the African Americans in general. So, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I just have a whole lot of blind spots, but so my biggest blind spot would just be global politics. I've just even recently started undertaking that, but the more I'm learning just about Black history and all of that, it's almost like somewhat offensive to me how much stake everyone puts into all the politics everywhere else in the world, and leftists like claim to be like the most compassionate people on the planet, right? But then like they do so very little. They barely hold the mantle when it comes to like African American civil rights in this country, even though African Americans have been done like such great codified harm in the U.S. It's insane to me.
Okay, we'll go to GKR, then Art Black, and then Jola.
Yeah, I guess I'll do like three things real quick. So, like, you know, the same thing, global politics. I definitely need to know more about other countries and histories and stuff like that. But there's so much. I feel like every day there's just more history. It's very annoying how that just keeps increasing. And local politics, like I know focusing on these stupid national politics issues and not particularly like the culture war stuff. I hate talking about culture war issues. I know like I know in the back of my head, like, this culture war shit in large part is designed to just waste our time so we don't talk about like more important issues. And at the same token, I'm like, but like the things that are being said about this are so wrong and so fucking annoying that like I feel like I need to address them. But like by wasting my time arguing about like, I don't know, like abortion or immigration or like civil rights, as opposed to just saying, not that these things aren't important, but I presuppose that like these are all a given and argue about important things. Like you just take those off the table as a point of conversation. So I know these things are bad, but I do it anyway because I can't resist. It's just that the inner liberal in the back of my head just wants to argue about every stupid thing. Like, you said something was wrong. I can't let it go. Yeah, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, Art Black.
Okay, so my blind spot, and this is me being on this like arc from being a conservative from back in the day to being slowly and gradually more and more left, till I've now fallen off the edge of the map. But my problem is, it's dealing with actual like long-term people who've been in the wild, like marinating leftists. Now that I'm kind of arriving here, I realize why I spent most of my time as conservative arguing with liberals. And it's because leftists are a disaster. Like, if I could figure out how to make them more effective, because I've been studying and reading about politics for a very long time, and I've slowly just come to the realization that everything that conservatism is built on is just wrong, and much of liberalism is well-meaning but also wrong. And you just have this unfortunate, like, past that part on the spectrum of people who actually genuinely do have a grasp on a better future, but they go about it in the most horrifically backwards and idiotic way. Like, for instance, if you have a hammer and sickle anywhere in your profile, you're basically just saying, I don't care if we ever win. If virtue signaling, this is just LARPing for me, and I'm just playing dress up. Like, I'm going to get my Russian furry hat.
If I have a hammer and sickle on my profile, it'll be because somebody hacked me.
Well, okay, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but I get that you're trying to say that, you know, you've read some theory and you have these views on capitalism, that we should progress past it and yada, yada. I get it. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but what you're actually saying is you're just being an edgelord. You're just trying to show, like, you know, how hard you are. And it's just virtue signaling. It's not actually anything that's going to be persuasive. Like, if you actually want to look at people who are persuasive, look at fucking fascists. Look at what these guys who are actually out there recruiting doing. They care. If they get 20% of you, even if the other 80% isn't into their ideology, they'll take you. Leftists seem to go out of their way to cut anybody they can out of their circle, and it just blows my mind. But it also explains how hard it's been for leftism to progress in America. And a lot of it's just self-inflicted. Just leftists seem so intent on not letting anybody in if they can find a reason to exclude them. And that's where my, I guess, blind spot is. I don't know how to craft arguments around that because they're looking for reasons to cancel you if you try to craft an argument around it. So that's
Purity test.
Cypher's Venn diagram is my favorite thing I've ever read in my fucking life. It's 1,000,000% true.
Where'd you get that, man? Where'd you get that?
I stole it from Art Black. I'm gonna be serious. But I had the ability to put it up, so I figured I would while he was talking.
Well played, sir.
Art, do you see any irony though in like the claim that like leftists are the ones that are, you know, cutting other people out, considering that like leftists have been the one to be cut out of our political process for like years and years and years to the point of, you know, McCarthy. I mean, you know what I mean? I agree with you. There is like I know who you're talking about, and they fuck with me too. I absolutely agree with you. But it's just like, you know, like I don't want to accidentally feed into any right-wing narratives in the process.
I totally hear you. I 100% I get. Unfortunately, the left has got it from both ends. You've got the right and the center who, like, that's kind of the joke. The liberals hate leftists more than they hate fascists. Like you have this like wall from the center to the right that hates the far left, and then you have the far left that hates the far left. So unfortunately, you can't win. And that's what I struggle with is like, and it's unfortunate because you have people who are putting expediency and actually putting like a better future ahead of other considerations. But once people realize that there's that element of truth that they're working at that actually is legitimately good, it's like a drug. It like it hits them. They're like, no, like that's all I want. I don't want any of this impurity. I want the purity. And yeah, you're 100% right though. The vast majority of the problem has been outside forces causing problems and, you know, trying to marginalize the left. It just, for me, I that's one problem. The other problem is just the left trying to marginalize the left.
Actually, it makes me wonder. Is one of my blind spots hating the left? Should I hate them less?
Yeah.
Is this a straw man? Is it like the blue man? Screaming feminist of
it's
2016?
infinite regress. Oh my god, we finally got there, chat. We got actual infinite regress. Yeah.
All right, tankies, welcome back in. You're fine.
I have to stop hating the left because the left hates itself, and that makes the left bad. So I should hate it, but it's bad to hate the left. So
we can have a few tankies as a treat.
We're gonna go over to Jola, and then I think the last one is Cypher after that, and then we got one more topic that was just sent to me as well.
Sweet, let's do it.
Wait, I also have a question for Cypher. If we can come back to me at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
I already discussed my blind spot, but I totally agree with the political pragmatism stuff, and also I'm trying to devolve the freaking culture war. It's so annoying, and you know, you see Bernie Sanders run a great campaign, a very idealist, and he does a couple things that are somewhat politically pragmatic, and all of lefty Twitter has a stroke, like they have no idea what's going on. Like, how dare he do something that's political? You know, that expediency. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the topic that was sent to me in Discord just a minute ago was when do leftists take it too far, almost to the point of racism or bigotry by themselves. So that's what we're gonna get into after Cypher. Go ahead.
So the question is, what's the blind spot, right?
Yep.
To make sure. All right. I would probably say my blind spot is probably more Black history, to be honest. I know that I try to be as knowledgeable as possible on everything. I'm wearing my data nerd shirt, for fuck's sake, right? But I do not know a ton of history from with Reconstruction and the lead up to where we are now, and I don't know much theory. I have my bookshelf's full of theory. I haven't read a damn fucking thing of it. So those are probably my two blind spots.
Didn't you said you wanted to address something in the chat just a minute ago?
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me. So I fucked up. I said that the United States didn't know what was going on in Germany, and that is wrong. We did. We, as in the government, some people in the United States might have known what was going on, but not maybe the extent of it. So there's some cross chatter link there. So please do not put my head on a pike. I fucked up. Apologize. I'm correcting the record right here.
What am I supposed to do with this pike now?
I mean, we can have other fun with it.
Yeah, we'll go to CityCat then. CityCat had a question for Cypher.
Yeah, so this is a question from my chat for you, Cypher. I've had a few people calling your beard glorious and talking about how beautiful you are. Someone was
true.
Yeah. Yes. Someone was asking if you cut your own wood. If you're
I
like a
do.
lumberjack.
I am not a lumberjack, but I do like to garden. I live in Texas, so we had a giant cold snap come through, so all my plants died that I was starting, so I had to start over. But I'm trying to plant some tomatoes and radishes and things like that, and started a little garden bed. So
Okay.
There you
So
go,
yeah,
Chad.
we'll talk about when does the left take it too far to the point of bigotry, racism, or anything else. And I think Mr. Fanatic might be a good one to start with on this.
Oh, sure. I mean, if you insist. I think the left infantilizes this quite a bit, man. There's like Biden just recently was in an interview where he was just like, man, blacks really don't have the internet. And, they really don't know how to use like the phones to figure out how to wait in these lines and things like that. And his delivery was like hyper infantilizing. I agree with the idea that absolutely like a lot of information is kept from, from blacks and just, minorities in general. For example, a lot of people had no idea that if you had COVID and you went to a hospital, the federal government will 100% pay for all of your hospital bills. Did you guys all know that?
I did not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, they've kept it from us all. So it's really wild. I only learned about it when there was a story where basically there was this guy who wouldn't go to he went to the hospital, was waiting in the waiting room, but then was like, man, his hospital bill is going to be insane because of COVID. Then went home and died. And he died because he didn't want a hospital bill. And then the article, they listed like, hey, here's like what the federal government has agreed to do, and they will pay for all of your bills, yada, 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 thanks to this, whatever, thanks to this COVID relief thing. And it's just like, wow, yeah, so they kept that from us. Like we are uninformed about that, but I don't think that's a black only thing.
Is it only if you have COVID, or is it
specifically COVID? Yeah, for COVID related things.
So if someone breaks their leg and they're poor, they better just go find someone to get COVID from.
Yeah, sneeze in my face.
Get a full coverage.
This is a COVID-related injury. I tried to get COVID and I broke my leg. Fix it, please.
Yeah, yeah, but no, it's kind of insane. Like when you think about that, like. Yeah, that's gross. But I'm sorry. In general, I do think absolutely that sometimes, but I don't think it's just the left. I think the right does it too. I mean, I've always heard the talking point like from the left where it's like, yeah, man, black people don't even have IDs. Like, again, I'm 100% opposed to voter ID laws. I know why they're created most of the time, and it's absolutely voter suppression. But the response talking point isn't black people don't have IDs. They don't know where the DMV is. Like, get the freak out of here. That's not the talking point. It's that the intention is voter suppression, and that's why we're going to try to not give them any room here.
Do people say that?
I have literally never heard a liberal say that. I believe you.
I have to agree with
never
Fanatic here. I've heard people like in like lefty circles when they're talking about how
Jesus
horrible
Christ.
voter ID laws, it quickly goes into like, yeah, there are some areas where like black people don't even have IDs, and it's just like,
come on.
It
Well,
is
so
like
then
this
voter ID
minute-
laws racist then, like, or do you guys not have a problem with voter
no,
ID laws?
literally
Of course I have a
Fanatic just.
problem with
Hold on,
it.
wait, Fanatic just said it right. Like
Yeah.
we all recognize why voter ID laws are terrible and how they're implemented, but like when you're talking to people about this issue, and then the
Yeah.
immediate thing they jump to is like, yeah, black people aren't even prepared to enter real life. Dude, just fucking call me a slur. I'd rather you say the late N-word than like be like, oh, I have to take care of them because they're babies who don't know how to do shit, and like the one that came to mind for me is like the Gorilla Glue girl.
Hello,
I feel
what's
sorry
up?
for her situation,
I'm
but it
looking
does
at
not
your
take
stream,
a
and
rocket scientist to realize, yo, maybe Gorilla Glue isn't a big substitute for hair products. And the one argument I've seen is like, yes, but black women, they have been forever using like weird products and shit for the hair. And it's like, yeah, but it's fucking Gorilla Glue. I wouldn't put glue
God, these
near my
people are
head,
so
period,
fucked.
let alone Gorilla Glue. There's a reason like the meme is Gorilla Grip, right? Like Gorilla.
That shine was nice though.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
If you want your hair to hold for like 2 months, but like the infantilizing of like, oh, black people have never ever done anything wrong, and it's all because of their social conditions that made them really stupid and poor. And I'm just like, yo, fucking stop it, right? Like,
Yeah.
half of what you said is true, but Jesus fucking Christ, we can take a little bit of responsibility, just a little bit, just,
Or,
But it sucks. You
black people
don't
voting
want to
for
say
Joe
that out
Biden in the
loud.
primary. Oof.
Wait, what happened?
Oh, I was saying like the way like some leftists responded when like the percentage of black people who voted for Joe Biden in the primary, they're like, hey, you know, they're just you're like, I hear you saying it.
I fucking saw that. Like a lot of people were just like, oh man, that's a real shame because black people just aren't educated enough to know that Bernie Sanders is good for them. And I'm like, yo, you just called black people stupid because they didn't vote for you. Maybe they just didn't like fucking Bernie. You ever thought of that? Every old black person I've talked to, they're like, yeah, no, I just don't like that Bernie Sanders guy. It's not his policies. It's his fucking person. I don't like his personality. I don't necessarily agree with that line of voting, but like to say that they're fucking, you know, they're not educated enough. They've been duped and swindled. Like maybe 1/4 of that is true.
It's weird when people don't realize like that conservative black people are a large coalition of the Democratic base. They just don't vote for Republicans for obvious reasons, but that doesn't, but like they're in your party, you know, like that's a coalition. So deal with it, you know.
Yeah.
100.
If the Republicans didn't hate minorities, they'd never lose an election. Like you have like
that's true.
Hispanic, black. There's so many conservatives in this country that be happy to be Republicans. It's just that they're not wanted.
Yeah, it's facts. That's 100% facts.
At least for the next 10 or 15 years or so. Generationally, there's a little difference, but yeah.
It's wild.
So I guess I don't understand the argument then, because that's the only argument I've ever heard is that like black people are less likely to have transportation and they're less likely to have the ability to get to a DMV to get a license because like it's harder in inner cities and
I mean,
things like
Tom,
that.
I don't think it's all that complicated. It's kind of like it's not like all it is like these things are reverse engineered, right? So when there's a rule that gets instituted by Republicans that are like, we really need to make sure that our vote is secure and everything. It's always like they go into it and they figure out, all right, how can we cut black people out of voting? Because we know, or how can we cut whoever it is that we know is going to vote against us out of voting? And so they go like, okay, like if you live, in the city, you're less likely to need a license to drive around. You might have access to public transportation. They just figure out a way to get like a little bit more of this group than that group in that group that they cut out, and there they got it. They've got like, there's 500 votes in the bag every single time. There's 500 people that we're gonna disenfranchise from the process and stay a viable party even longer, even though the vast majority of the country has like outright rejected us. We are not going to go down to third party status because we are fucking gerrymandered in there. We are literally fucking grandfathered in there, right? That's what this is about. That's what the voter ID shit is all about. It's not, it just happened to be, that the voter ID impacted this group and this group differently. I don't know how that happened. No, it's designed.
Yeah.
To give like a quick example, sorry, I'll make it real quick.
No, go for it.
To give a quick example, in Georgia, one of the laws they're trying to pass now is banning early voting on Sundays because black people in black churches they tend to have like souls to the polls thing, and then every Sunday after church they would like I guess they like rent bus. I don't know exactly the process, but lots of black people would go early vote on Sundays after church, and that was their thing. And now Georgia's like, now that we've lost a presidential race and 2 Senate seats, let's get rid of that. And it's always an edge game. You pass these little things, and the goal isn't to like exclude everyone. It's to have a disproportionate impact on those who disagree with you. Is like their entire goal.
Talk about that's fine, man. Everybody has been adding great things to this. Don't feel bad if you cut me off. Seriously, everybody's participating so well here. To answer your point, Tom, though, one of the issues here is that there was a study done that said like black people are 15% more likely to not have a driver's license or a valid state ID. Right. And so liberals, normal liberal folk, not people like us on a panel that know the fuck we're talking about, but like normal liberal people are like, oh, well, then that must mean that a lot of black people don't have IDs and for whatever reason. And so you get these people that don't really understand what the study is that they're reading and they read it in the news. And so they go make those arguments because that's what they took away from it.
Okay. Yeah, the unnuanced version of the argument can come off very racist.
It comes off as patronizing as fuck, and it is patronizing as fuck.
It is. But here's a better example, though, right? So remember the North Carolina law? That was one that was really amazing to me because in that specific law, the Supreme Court like they struck the law down, and they said that they had targeted African Americans with almost surgical precision. And the reason why they said that was because the legislature in North Carolina asked for voting habits by race. They asked for data on voting habits by race. Then once they got that data, they found that blacks did out of precinct voting pretty often. So then they literally banned out of precinct voting. Then they found out that blacks were likely to carry these specific forms of ID more so than everyone else. So then they banned that specific form of ID. Then they found out that blacks were more likely to early register to vote early as opposed to other people. Like it was like 60% of black, 60% of early registration and early voting were African Americans, so they restricted early voting. Then they found out that like a humongous portion of the like a disproportionate number of African Americans were registered straight from high school. So then they banned registration straight from high school. So they literally went through, got voting habits by race data, and then went through and literally looked at everything that blacks did and specifically targeted them, which caused them to say that they literally targeted blacks with surgical precision. And that was what that thing does. So it's not like, if their idea was just, we want to make sure that the vote was fair, then you wouldn't need the voting habits by race, because why you need that specifically, and then you would be fine. But the fact that they went for it specifically by race is an
fanatic. You're missing the obvious point. It's just not fair when black people vote. Like obviously,
That's true.
There you go.
I mean, like, and to
that's
Fanatic's
actually
point,
very
right?
true.
Like they've been doing that specific thing of targeting black people for like the specifics of their lives forever. But like right after fucking slavery and shit, they were like, okay, everyone can vote, but like if your grandpappy wasn't a citizen and you can't read, no. And then like they gave him that fucking ridiculous ass test, like recite the Constitution backwards, please. Alphabet by number squared or some shit. Like it's just like ridiculous. They've always been doing it. They just have to update it every few decades, so you know they can pretend.
100.
We're gonna try to get some more people involved, so we're gonna go back to the topic. City Cat, do you have something that leftists bug you on, or they go too far on a consistent basis?
It's hard because I think that a lot of the problems that I have with, like, I feel like someone mentioned before, like, oh, Joe Biden did this thing, like, where he was infantilizing, like, and it, like, Joe Biden's not a leftist. I don't think I would consider that the left going too far left. I'd consider that liberals being fucking liberal cucks. Like, I think the problems that I have are with people more in that spectrum. I do think that the left does have a problem with taking like poor people and being like these. It's the same thing that they do with like people of color. It's just like, oh, these poor people are too uneducated to get themselves a job. We need to help them so much. These poor people, they're so poor, and we have money and we should be helping them. And they're just too dumb. They're just too dumb and poor to do anything good with their lives. And I think that that can be a problem, is when we take like helping poor people and turn it into kind of like, look how good I am helping the poor people, and these poor people are so dumb. Yeah, and I think, yeah, and it's I've also seen people do like videos where they're like, look at me giving this money to this poor person.
Yeah.
Look at me. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, why are you even filming this right now? Like, I think I have a problem with that.
Clout chasing.
That's gross.
Virtue
I
signaling.
love those videos. I love those videos because, like, I'm a person that, like, if I don't know you and you approach me, like, I might swing on you, and then I'm just imagining like some unfortunate soul who has to sleep on the street every night, and like, oh, I'm being approached by 3 people. One, like, 2 of them are holding cell phones, and one of them has like a bag of the shittiest McDonald's, and they're like, "Here you go from the bottom of my heart.
You're
like,
welcome."
And I think something I saw as well was they had like a stack of cash and they were like making it rain on the fucking homeless people.
No, you didn't.
I saw that one too.
They're on YouTube.
There was
Like,
one that was a rapper that did that, where he stood on top of his car and made it rain. I think it
Yeah.
was like last year on Christmas or something like that, where he
And the
made it
thing
rain.
is, I think that a lot of people can, privately laugh at the idea of making it rain on a poor homeless person. But like, don't do that shit. Don't film it. Don't post it on YouTube, and then act like you did a good thing.
Yep.
It's so weird. It's
because making it rain on a homeless
Cringe.
person is literally like a fucking it's an Onion article, right? Like we could have read this in like fucking 2001. Like T-Pain makes it rain on local homeless lady, bringing her out of poverty, and we recognize why that's a fucking dumb thing. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
And now
exactly.
Trickle down
now we have
economics.
people.
Oh,
I'm done with the internet today.
I mean, that's what YouTube is doing, right? P-tapes.
Well,
Jeez.
so the,
Oh, yeah.
the example that like they gave when they suggested this topic, they said that there are schools that are getting pamphlets about whiteness that are being sent home to their parents, and classes that are being taken in like elementary schools about whiteness now. And they felt as though this was going a little bit too far. Jola, what do you think that those things go too far? Or is there a point where the left is racist against white people in a very monetary, like in a very small way?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, they are not racist against white people, but I do believe that racial like insensitivity training or sensitivity training, I think that is very unproductive. The studies say it's not productive.
Exactly.
If you're gonna, like, for example, I'm in a college right now. Last semester, we had to sit down for a 2-hour course on not doing microaggressions. I think a 2-hour course, if you're gonna make a bunch of college kids sit down, or if you're gonna make a bunch of people who work for a company sit down, they should give a 2-hour seminar on like the sociological background of different groups in America. Because I think if you are truly going to understand like how to approach these situations, you're not going to want to be like, oh, I don't want to offend this black person. Are you okay, black person? Did I say something that hurts your culture? Because that's what ends up happening. A bunch of white people are scared to talk about issues, and they patronize a lot of black people. They don't ever get an understanding of the actual issue. So I hate like racial sensitivity training. Doesn't work. It's a virtue signal. It's another thing to replace actual progress.
It's white people self-help book. Okay, here.
Yes.
Robin D'Angelo is the biggest fucking witch to ever exist in the world. Okay, I disavow her from the left. She does not count. You cannot suggest individual self-help as like a leftist critique when leftist critiques generally focus on like systemic changes, right? I don't know what word to say about that. That's not like a leftist thing to say we should give people woke pamphlets. Like this is not a thing. I don't know. I hate that people like Robin D'Angelo get more credit than that.
It's an entire industry at this point, yes, and it has been growing since the 80s.
And it works this way, that like the company A says, listen, I saw company B get in a lot of trouble for some racist shit going down. I don't know if that could happen to us, but let's go cover our ass so that if it does happen, then we can be like, hey, we paid for DEI training. We had Robert D'Angelo come out and do our little PowerPoint in 36 slides. I'm going to teach all these white people not to be racist, and all she does is fucking posts cringe. And like basically if there's any people in that company with right-wing like views, they're now like activated. They're now feeling this like this excuse that it's coming down to them from the institution, that they're being forced to accept these things. And it's just like it's such a fail on so many levels, and the only people that are making money from it are the people that created this industry for basically buying indulgence. Like, this, like, I mean, like, I'm not trying to echo the right wing's like, corporate wokeness thing, like the idea that the corporations actually do hold these beliefs, because they don't. It's all about money. It's all, a scam. They don't actually care about the issues. They care about looking good, and they care about making money.
And if it were vaguely positive or indifferent, I guess I wouldn't care. But the fact it's actively harmful makes me hate this. Like, that is the problem.
Tom, I'm going to make this entire panel hate me really quickly.
Let's do
it.
Let's do it.
The left is absolutely racist towards white people. Like, it's just, there's no denying it. Like, I hate, one of my biggest hates is where black people make this statement that black people can't be racist. I feel like that's a form of infantilization too.
True.
It's just not true. White people are absolutely demonized. And now that I've started recognizing what white guilt is, because I recognize how much internalized racism and black guilt that I was carrying, when someone like helped me the first time I encountered it, was like, I don't understand what's happening. And someone's like, that's white guilt. And I was like, what is that? I've never understood it. And they broke it down and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, now I totally get that because I know when I have black guilt. And the idea that the left doesn't like go out and like really demonize white people. Like she's not the only person talking about distance yourself from whiteness, right? I'm not making a conservative claim where it's like, well, when black people do this, we can get away with it with white people. But absolutely, the left will literally like demonize, like literally just being white. It happens pretty freaking frequently. Black people, we can be racist too. There's no doubt about it. And sometimes we are racist towards white people. That video that Vox did or whatever, where it's just like, what are things that white people are good at? And it's just like appropriating and blah, 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 blah. Like all of these things that were like,
that was
absolutely a racist video.
Vox. That was not Vox. That was like one of those stupid React channels. But
Vox
it was okay. That was not Vox.
Okay,
yeah, it wasn't Vox.
I don't remember who it was, but whoever that was racist. I'm sorry. That was racist. Now, do I understand why that's happening? The real reason why that's happening is because, like a lot of times, not black people, these things are true. Like white people, some white people, not all white people, some people in positions of power have absolutely appropriated things, absolutely taken the credit for things that they didn't necessarily do. They have like silenced other voices and other things like that. That has happened. And I think the fact that you would like try to apply that towards an entire race of people is absolutely insane. Black people that were going around after George Floyd's death, having white people get down on their knees and kiss their feet, kiss their shoes and stuff. Do you all remember those videos?
Was that BHI though?
I don't know. Whoever that was in those videos, it literally made me cringe. I'm like, I don't want that. The freak is this? That has nothing to do with healing. It's just disgusting. Yeah. We do a lot of nonsense. It does happen. So the idea that the left isn't racist towards white people. Now, I get that the right takes it too far. I get like there is no white genocide. I'm not going there, but the left is absolutely racist towards white people pretty freaking often.
I'll agree with you. I had conversations about this just recently with a couple of people where I felt like if it gets to a point where somebody says something like, like they discount what you're saying by saying that's such a white take, or you're so white, and to discount what it is you're saying, then like at that point, like I would say racism is bigotry based on skin color. And so, I would say at that point it is racist. Cypher, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to come out and just say that the left and academia in general has no fucking clue what marketing is whatsoever. So when academia talks about whiteness, they're not talking about literal white people. They're talking about a culture that was created out of desperate groups that came together and under the banner of quote unquote whiteness. And that's what's being corrected, right? So it's the whole like Western chauvinism thing. It's the whole like other cultures are inherently inferior because they didn't go through the Enlightenment period. Like these are the ideas, what they mean by less white. But if you go to Joe Schmo down the street and be like, hey guy, why don't you be a little less white? Why don't you go over there and fight your whiteness? People are gonna look at you and like you're a fucking idiot and want to punch you in the face. Justifiably so, because nobody has any idea what these terms mean. I have been fighting on these kind of things for the past like 8 years. Pretty much as soon as I got on the internet and learned about like critical theory, and I was like, oh, this makes sense to me. I've had to just dive deep into it and just like go to task with people, and it doesn't break through at all because of it.
Well, I mean, Joe, you just had a black man tell you that it is racist towards white people, and I don't think you're allowed to disagree with a black guy when it comes to racism. Is that
cringe, dude?
Jesus Christ.
Cringe.
Have you changed your mind here?
Fuck you, Tom, you goddamn racist.
No, what Cypher said is 100% correct. Like academia is like, oh, white privilege. It's such a dumbass way to get your point across. You're not talking to people where they are. Like I compare it to like these complex, like my friend is a math major at a Ivy League school or whatever, so he's doing these complex like equations and shit, these huge complex equations on the chalkboards that he never understood before. When we talk, even right now, our verbiage, the way we're talking, is meant for people like us that are political junkies, that may have some academic experience, that have a lot of political experience in general. If we talk to a regular person, it's going to be like we're talking a foreign language. So I do agree what the left does come off as racist. It does come off as if white people are under attack. But I do also think the right-wing propaganda machine wants to drive that. They're trying to make it seem like that no matter what. They want to make sure there's no way we can connect these concepts because that's good for business for them.
Just to clarify, the concept of like whiteness, like, and people's misunderstanding of that is not like leftists or academia being racist. That's those concepts being like propagandized through misinformation and disinformation, and just being completely strawmanned out of their original meaning. And like, I get it, but it's so goddamn annoying.
We have to acknowledge that the language isn't out there in the public, at least not until very recently. So if you talk to somebody that's 45 plus and you tell them, hey, why don't you address your whiteness? They're going to look at you and be like,
anyone who says that is a fucking moron.
So like, here's what
anybody that says that is a moron.
It's
and
weak
that
communications.
is how a lot of people on the internet communicate because we're on Twitter. We have 211 characters
through Twitter is like
it's
incompatible.
It's bad.
We're gonna go to Pyro real quick, and then we'll go to K, and then Art Black.
So like I'll say this in like this little bit like in defense of academia. Like I 100% get what you're saying, but like it's not in a vacuum where they're just like, yes, white guilt and all this other shit. Like talk to any fucking history professor and ask them what does white mean in a historical context, and they're gonna give you a funny look and then give you like a 3-hour lecture about like how back in the fucking day different races didn't go by white and that some people just didn't like it, like they've had different names for each other and shit. But like
they'll talk about Irish people.
And I do agree with the point being said here. Fucking leftists don't know how to do rhetoric or shit. Like we still have like disagree with it if you might. You 100% valid. We have leftists like we're gonna reclaim the hammer and the sickle despite like 105 years of like McCarthyist propaganda. Bro, move the fuck on.
Give it up.
Like get some new shit. Like
get up to that Juche shit. Seriously, it's much better anyway.
And like this is kind of like that where like leftists want to be like, yes, we're the high educated hoity-toity, look at my pipe. And then like they do this shit and it's like, bro, you have the facts on your side, but you're presenting them in a way where it's just easy for everyone to be like, you're full of shit and being racist.
All right, let's go to K.
Okay, I'm going to take the time to redirect this conversation away from racism because I'm labeling this entire conversation as bait and I'm not falling for it.
It is bait. It is bait. And I took it up.
That's what topics are supposed to be.
Listen, I'll argue about blackface on here if we have to do it. I'll do it. I have a hot blackface take. Not all blackface is equally bad.
Okay.
Ooh,
Let's K.
I'll do it.
Give your take.
Oh boy.
Don't do it.
I'll do it.
Now that's bait.
It's kind of like moving back towards like where like I think the left takes it a little bit too far because I don't think that they just do it with racism. I think that they do it with sexism too. And like as a feminist, I really seriously cannot stand when radical feminists turn feminism or any conversation about like making life for women in general better into like just we hate men and men suck and you need to acknowledge the fact that your suckiness is why women are so incredibly oppressed even in today's day and age. It's not productive. Like it adds absolutely nothing to the conversation, and it's probably I would actually contribute that widely to why like the incel population is growing so much in the United States right now, because like we're radicalizing these little man babies into thinking that all women are out to just like eat them alive, and it has seriously damaged the conversation that we need to be having, not just in this country but like as a human species, about making life easier and better for women and seeing women like equally.
All right,
so like quick, I want to add
one second.
Okay.
City Cat's got to head out. City Cat, if you want to give a last take, shout yourself out real quick.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly, I don't trust anyone here. All of y'all have scared the absolute hell out of me. Like Kay just then, she was like, I'm a feminist, and I was like, I do not trust that. I'm just like all of you are sketchy and I'm scared.
Super sus.
But it was a lot of fun coming on. I really hope that I can come back again. It would be good to have a smaller group of people where we can. I really want to argue with some righty people, and this seems like a good space for it.
Oh yeah.
If we can have some more topics that we can munch about. You know what I mean? That we can yell at each other about. Yeah, but thank you so much for having me on. I do have to bounce. I'm the City Cat. I host a little stream over at my stream at 8 p.m. EST on Tuesdays. Yeah, so come around if you like. Yeah, follow me on Twitter. Follow if you like cute cat girl pics. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
coming, and for sure we'll set up an abortion conversation
yeah,
sometime. We'll definitely get into it. Thanks for
Okay,
coming on.
are you still against abortion or anti-abortion? Yeah.
Yes, I am. I was
Okay.
actually just on a
Ooh.
debate right before
I didn't know
this.
which side you were on.
Hang on. Can I say something real quick?
Oh, I
Feminist,
love you.
libertarian, anti-abortion.
No,
Just
no,
saying.
too
Just
exclusive.
saying.
Hey, I love you, Kay. You're the best. Yup.
Bye, guys.
Yup.
See ya.
Good life,
That's
baby.
where I was going with that.
Protect them, baby.
Okay, we're gonna go to Art Black and then Pyro.
Okay, we're still on the lefty racism thing.
I think it was moved over to. Like,
Yeah,
just in
you
general.
can move it right back to racism. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, and we'll take it in both directions: racism, sexism. As far as like what you guys were talking about earlier, as far as exposing people to ideas like, racism is more of it's a white thing than a black thing. You guys understand the argument, right? No one's saying that like if you're black, you can't be bigoted. You can't say things about white people that would be awful
They're
or
saying they
terrible.
they're using the power plus prejudice equals racism argument, and I think it's stupid.
Well, and I understand that, but the reason that that argument is being made and that they're trying to change the discourse is because, at a real practical level, if I, in a predominantly white neighborhood, call the police on somebody who I think shouldn't be there because they don't look like they're from around here, that has power implications that doesn't exist were I to be in a neighborhood where it wasn't predominantly white and someone called the cops on me. When the cops roll up on me, I have a very good chance of talking my way out of it in a way that, that is not going to be in any way detrimental to me. There's very serious repercussions. I mean, this isn't just theoretical. I mean, this is what the country's been operating on for hundreds of years. So to dismantle that, at a certain level, you do kind of have to understand that the fact that there's prejudice plus power is relevant. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, the prejudice by itself certainly is an issue, and we shouldn't encourage prejudice. And that's where, to loop back to what we're talking about earlier, sometimes the left kind of runs a little bit wild with it. You have leftist feminists hate on men and kind of go overboard with it because, well, they're men. They're cis white men. Like there's a certain, kind of a abandon that they just kind of, people will run with it because like, well, there's no power here. And the left literally unlearns their own lesson. Like what they're trying to teach the right, the left then decides that they are going to just run free with and just not bother. And the whole point isn't that power is the problem. It's that power is half the problem. It's power plus prejudice. So you get people that will run free with their prejudice because they're correct in saying that, well, there's no power here, so it's different. Well, yeah, it is different, but still not good. Like you still shouldn't do that. And the problem is, especially considering your target, which again, back to cis white men, there is nothing in this universe as sensitive as the emotional state of a cis white man. If we could take that material and make it into condoms, those things would sell like never before. Like there's nothing more sensitive. So I think that you just have to understand what you're actually trying to accomplish here. You want to create understanding and learning, but you also want to show that you're on the right side. And if you portray yourselves as people who are totally okay with bigotry, as long as there's no power attached, you've missed the fucking point. Like the entire point of the message has been lost because you were so deep into one half of your message, you've forgotten the other half. And the left 100% goes wrong with that a lot. So that's the point.
100%. I've had to explain like how black
gonna...
cops can do racism like way too many times, and it annoys the fuck out of me.
So like to hit on like both Art Black's point and Kay's point, because like I like the fact that she brought up feminism with this and all that stuff. Because like the big problem, like yeah, they'd go so far in hating men, and it's kind of like a pendulum, right? The right has been hateful towards pretty much everyone, and now it, like the left is gonna be hateful towards straight right men. And like when Kay brought up the feminist and sexism, like the one thing that stood in my mind is like, one, yeah, they're 100 okay saying shit that like would be sexist if I said it to a woman, and two, they really don't give a like that whole like, yo, you got to respect people's boundaries and shit when you say to them and how sexual you are. Look at fucking femboys. The moment a femboy enters a chat, it's all fucking gone. Like
That's harassment.
horrible sexual harassment. Just like they don't get taken seriously like at all. Like any word that comes out of their mouth, like the next response is something overtly sexual. I can't even do a fucking funny example because it's that bad. It's just like, yeah, Art Black was right. They've gone so far on the other side of the pendulum that they're like, yeah, no, now it's okay for us to do it, but like against the people who we thought were bad. And like they gotta fucking fix that shit because that's not how.
Right.
It's just gonna breed even more resentment, and then when the pendulum swings back, the right's gonna be like, well, look at what the left did to us last time.
Yep.
Well, and it's like that because, like, if you call out a radical feminist, it's like, hey, you're, like, totally sexualizing this dude and making him uncomfortable. It's like, well, now he knows what it feels like to be catcalled on a public street.
Right.
It's like having your cake and eat it, too.
Can
Like,
I add something real quick? So I know that we're all talking about how it causes entrenchment and regression and stuff like that. I just want to say, though, I don't really give a shit. And the reason I don't really give a shit about that is because I'm of the opinion that right now we're just on the other side of the pendulum swing, and we're going to end up moving back towards the middle, and it's not going to go all the way back over to the right hand side of it. I think ultimately this is just a reaction to the centuries of, for lack of a better term, oppression, and we're going to end up going back to middle. People are going to learn from their mistakes, and we're going to end up coming to a new consensus. I don't think this is the death of Western civilization like the right says, and I don't think it's the beginning of a new one like the left says. So,
well, sure, but hold on. I totally agree with everything being said here. This has like been probably one of the best conversations I've ever had in one of these kind of things, because I think I have like oppositional takes typically, but you guys seem to be pretty cool about everything anyway. I like it. The thing is, I totally agree.
Welcome to the left, fanatic. You're a leftist now.
I'm not a leftist. I'll never be a leftist.
Comrade. Give it time, comrade.
It's too late. We've already claimed you.
You already got your state-sponsored sickle and star.
No, y'all better save that. So my thing is though, like I just to touch on what our Black said earlier, like I guess kind of rebut that a little bit. Like I totally understand the idea that like yes, that I understand what systemic racism is, but the thing is, systemic racism, like that's a qualifier, right? Like it's a qualifier, like systemic racism, but the base word is racism. So when you say Black people can't be racist, that's just wrong. We're not in positions of power to have control or to exert influence over the system to be racist in that way, but we absolutely can be racist. And a lot of times I've heard Black people use that as license to be 100% racist to white people. I'm not going to go through things, I don't want to be canceled, but I've heard Black people, Pyro, you know.
Listen, Fanatic. Listen, I'll cut you on. Fanatic won't give the example, but I will. If you've ever heard Black people talking about fucking Asians, you know how racist we can be. If you've ever heard Black people talking about Muslims and the way they run their culture, you know how fucking racist we can be. It's not like the vacuum of like, oh yes, it's just white people. Nah, talk to some old Black people and bring up like Asian culture and shit, and they say the horriblest things. Like.
Yep.
Okay, you're in
Holy
charge.
shit.
I'll be right back.
Yeah,
It's like the Native American memes, right? Like,
Yeah.
like the whole like they were just so in touch with. It's like to act like these people were totally innocent and couldn't do anything wrong is just as infantilizing as like saying like they did everything wrong, right? Like it's equally bad to go in either extreme in that direction. You know, like, I feel like it's
one that's not racism, but like no one in the left ever talks about. Fucking Black people are really, 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 and I'm gonna add this last one for emphasis. Really. Homophobic.
Yeah,
And
Prop
it
8 in
just-
California,
It
2008,
goes
baby.
over the fucking head. No one talks about it, and that's like a really big issue. Because like y'all thought, some of these white people could be really destructive to their, LGBTQ kin. Black people, their first instance isn't like, I'm gonna kick you out. They're gonna fucking try and beat it out of you. They can't afford conversion therapy. They will take stuff from the house.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna beat the power of God into you.
I don't remember the exact statistics, but the 2008, this is in California, the 2008 Prop 8 thing was to ban gay marriage in the state of California in 2008. Sure. And I do think that was like, I don't know the exact percentage, but it was very highly supported by like Black people who you think would make like that large like Democratic base, but it's just not overlap between supporting gay rights in the Black community and like voting Democrat. Like that's not like the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
2008
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
people are
12 years ago.
hyper-conservative. Black
like,
people in general are conservative. If Republicans weren't
but-
so racist, black people would be Republican, bro.
Right.
Oh,
We're
dude,
like
yeah.
we're
we don't
like
even
hyper conservative.
Yeah.
We don't even like Africans, and like that's the one group everyone's like, yo, black people and Africans, they're like, yo, homie, what's up? No, we fucking hate each other. Like, I don't know, like there's a fucking cultural difference where like Africans will come over here, shit talk Americans, and then African Americans will shit talk the fuck out of Africans and just say the most ridiculous, and it's just we don't talk about it because then we'd have to talk about that issue and no one wants to.
So, and Fanatic, like you and I actually agree, like it's structurally what we're talking about. This is just like a semantic thing as far as saying structural racism or racism. And I get there's a colloquial use of racism and there's an academic use. And the left has tried to insert this academic use and like overlap it, you know, almost like we're swapping out characters mid-season and pretend with different actors, but like not acknowledging that it's a different actor kind of a thing. And that's it. Like we're just say what?
Does this happen in a widespread way? Actually, like I feel like I hear this said, but I don't think I've ever encountered like I'm sure there are like in any large enough group. Obviously, there's gonna be some idiots, but like I feel like I always see like people like vaguely left leaning saying like systemic racism. Have I seen these people being racist or saying like black people can't be racist or whatever? I think I have, but like I just don't feel like it's that significant of a coalition compared to
one of the problems is it does come out, but it's also one of these things that's taken and amplified by right-wing media. So if you don't consume a lot of right-wing media, you're not getting exposed to people.
That's where I get it from, though. I never get it from I get like the right wing blowing up like this small like group.
I mean,
were
you guys paying attention to the Twitch chat at all? We were all getting super cringed at because we were saying all these things. So
I don't pay attention to Twitch
we were being
or Twitter.
cringed, but I'm saying like
help you out of your cringe hole. People have touched on this before, like Kay's touched on this, and a lot of you are like kind of around this, but there's this idea of essentialism, and that's like, you know, the idea that, you know, like racism, it benefits white people. The patriarchy benefits men, but does that mean that men and white people are like the Dio Brando, the big bad, the like, super bad of those respective, oppressions? Does that mean that every man, every white person is like, you can fully just take out like all the karma of oppression on that one person? No, I mean, that's essentialism, and that's a trap that's easy to sort of, fall into. So, it's kind of like just, chewing gum and walking at the same time that we have to do to remember that, like, yeah, racism is bad, and yeah, it does benefit these groups, but, maybe not take them and turn them into a representative of something that they don't entirely represent, even though they benefit from those dynamics, if that makes sense.
And like
that makes a lot of sense to me.
Like this, I don't even know what to call it, because like I don't want to call it like simp culture around this, but like
Hey, we're not allowed to say that word.
The men that like feel a need to like pay some sort of emotional tribute to me because they're men and I'm a woman and just their existence oppresses me for some reason. I'm like, you make me uncomfortable and you need to stop doing that. Like,
okay, yeah, no, if you make Kay uncomfortable, just give all of your money to me. I'll happily take it. Like, if you're in a poor position where you can't, please don't. But like, yeah, if you got some extra money, yeah.
Does anybody mind if I comment on what Kay just said? So I think a lot of that has to do with people looking to make sure that they themselves aren't lumped in with everybody else that is considered bad. So I like to call it looking for head pats kind of phenomenon. You see it a lot online. You're like, oh, no, not me. I am the wokest of the woke white people.
Not all men.
Yeah, not all men. Like, not me. No, this isn't me. I'm a good person. And they overemphasize the fact that they are, kind, caring. They volunteer at women's shelters if we're talking about sexism, or if they're like, oh, it's the whole one of my best friends is black thing. It's the same kind of thing. It's just from a leftist perspective.
Let's call it performative wokeness. That sounds right.
I love how you called it head pets, because it's honestly like what I feel like they want me to do. Like, do you want a cookie? Like, what do you want from me?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
That's it.
All right, I just want to interject really quick that I totally agree with you, and I just want to say yes, the ally cookie. But when you get down to it, you're looking at, do we advance this argument even though we know that it's going to hurt conservative feelings. Like if you say, black people can't be racist, when we're talking about structural racism versus just bigotry, got it. Like, understand that that's going to offend people and make them angry, but you're making arguments in places where people tend to avoid them. You got a lot of people who just want to pretend that we solved racism back in 1984 and like everything's just good, or the 70s or something, and like it's not a thing anymore. So by injecting this into the discourse, it forces conversations that you have to like parse, like we're doing now. And just this act of parsing it is valuable because it makes people that don't want to have the talk have to have the talk. And honestly, people can be fucking pissed anyway. Let them be mad. Make them have the discussion. Make them think about things that they want to pretend don't exist. And it's going to offend some people, but I think that if you look at all the change that's happened, even with like we were talking about earlier, like homophobia, or like right now we're dealing with like trans rights. This is stuff that doesn't make people comfortable from a certain mindset and a certain like group. Like if they're going to be uncomfortable, make them uncomfortable. Just keep pushing for progress. And sorry.
But can't we do so responsibly though? Like, because to me, it seems like it really actually hurts us more so. Because what you're doing, not you again, what happens when you start using really bad messaging like that and like creating this? It emboldens people. It galvanizes people. Like the alt-right, like literally that is like a big portion of like their recruitment is the idea that like you guys are being disenfranchised, you guys are being demonized, you can't be white, you guys are going to be going extinct in X amount of time, black men are sleeping with your wives, all sorts of nonsense. At the end of the day, if we allow that kind of nonsense rhetoric to like continue to be like embedded into that, then that all that does is it continues to strengthen those people, and I think that's not healthy. A better way of saying it is black people black people. There are two kinds of racism. Like, I don't know, explaining it better, talking about the fact that there's a difference between systemic racism and regular racism. I think that's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, like just saying black people can't be racist, I think is bad, because I've seen black people be racist and then tell me that they can't be racist while being very racist. And I've definitely seen white people become incredibly offended and like, oh, I know I can't say anything about it because I'm going to be completely demonized and canceled on Twitter and or they're going to just say, oh, I have white fragility and and all these things. And so that by the time they're just not going to say anything about it. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to hold those feelings, and you're not going to be engaged anymore, and then they're just going to go ahead and that. I think that's how we got Trump, because there were a bunch of people that felt they couldn't speak up. I just think it's unhealthy. Like, why can't we just be honest with our words and be better about it?
I think John McWhorter did it.
One second. We're gonna go to closing statements.
Okay. Can I ask like one more? Can I do one more thing real quick? Because I want to.
You guys are gonna give your last statement. Well, okay.
Well, I'll ask a question, because
I will let you do your closing statement first, then, and then everybody can answer from there. We're also going to let some people jump on afterwards. So for anybody who'd like to stick around, we'll have some more conversations going after this. So don't go anywhere. Kay, did you?
I gotta go. I gotta bounce my kids up.
All right, everybody go follow Kay on Twitter.
Do we get hats before you leave, or?
All right, nice night, guys.
Wait, I was an ally though. What happened?
I barely said anything sexist at all.
All right, guys, I gotta run, but it was a pleasure talking to you. I'll see you later.
Kay.
Thanks,
Kay.
All right.
Now that she's gone, we can talk about it.
So let's go to GKR. We'll get everybody's closing statements, and then shout yourselves out at the same time.
Cool. So I feel like we're letting I appreciate this conversation. I think we're all correct about this, but I feel like we're magnifying a bullshit conservative issue. So I think there's way too much of letting them control the conversation. The fact we've just spent like 30 minutes disavowing like the cringe leftists. Like, I agree they're a problem and they're super annoying and they're bad and what they're saying is wrong. But like, we're in a country of 330 million people. There's always going to be the cringe. How much time am I going to spend disavowing leftists, and how much should we actually spend like disavowing these like cringe people who I think are honestly like an inconsequential proportion? I mean, I'd be interested to see if like I'm wrong about this, if any of you disagree, but I feel like this is just us engaging on their terms. Oh, the reactionary right's upset about something. They're always upset about something. It's literally their brand, you know? Trying to think, do I have a follow-up to that? Yeah, I feel like just letting them get annoyed at like what a handful or a very small section of people are doing and us responding to that as though it's a genuine, sincere criticism is just a waste of time and letting them control the conversation. Sorry, that's it.
Okay. we will go to Cypher then.
Sure. So you said closing statements as well, or shout ourselves out, right? As well.
Oh yeah, the GKR. Did you shout yourself out?
Did not.
Nah, it's fine. Just go next. It's cool.
Yeah, he sucks anyway.
I'm here to have a good time. All right. Fuck it.
So to kind of piggyback off of GKR's statement, I would like to say that I'm not so worried about conservatives and radical or the reactionary right so much. I'm worried about the moderate liberal and pushing them towards the right because of the rhetoric that we use as leftists, and making sure that we do not contribute to their recruitment efforts. So one of the things that I like to say is that it is up to us that understand these issues more than the average bear to explain it in such a way that doesn't cause entrenchment or regression. And I think that's something the left needs to, in general, about a lot of different things, because we talked about purity politics, circle firing squads and all that. Is that something we could all work on? So everybody, thanks again so much for having me on here, Tom. I greatly appreciate these. These are always a great time. If you have not followed Tom yet, please go ahead and hit that follow button to give him a like, subscribe, and share him with your friends. I am Cypher. I am the host and moderator of the Crowdsourced Politics podcast. We go live on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, doing a news roundup. Everybody is welcome onto the show. It's a call-in show. People can contact me through any method and also be a regular guest should they choose to. Go ahead and you can follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and wherever you get your podcast from, because we are also a podcast. So thanks again.
Awesome, man. Then we'll go over to no comment shit.
I'm just gonna read out Aiko's chat. I called Tom White millions of times, and he didn't go down the alt-right pipeline. And I'm gonna agree with that, and largely with what GKR was saying too. Like, you know, we've said like I've shit on the essentialist left a few times and some of the cringe lefties. I do want us to be careful that we're not reinforcing the right-wing narrative that the left is cringe, or even like some of this idea of cringe. Like, at some level, we've got to look inside ourselves and realize there's a little bit of cringe in all of us. And I want you to, like, instead of hating yourself for it, instead of like wishing I wasn't like that and oh God, you know, it's so embarrassing, fucking embrace the cringe in yourself. And then maybe we can be a little bit more forgiving for the cringe in other people. Because, you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, things that that we call cringe in other people are the things that like make life worth living for them. And, you know, that's kind of like, we got to let people enjoy things on some level. But yeah, I'm no comment chick. I am on Twitch evenings for now. We're going to be moving slowly into the daytime. I'm trying to get myself out of these vampire Dio Brando style hours that I've worked my way into. But yeah, we do debate analysis and all kinds of other content every night, or most nights. I don't know, a lot of nights. I don't have a set schedule, which that's a problem too. We'll be working on that, but come by and see me anyway, and we will be talking about something interesting. If it's drama, stick around, even if you don't like drama, because chances are, if I'm covering drama, it's because there's like a real issue behind the curtains that I'm trying to unveil. So that's what I'm all about, is unveiling what is behind all the narratives that we see in the world of politics and culture. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on here, Tom. If anybody in my chat isn't already, follow TomFoolery and doing some cool panels here. It sounds like it sounds like Cypher's got a show too. So yeah, like love to check that out. But yeah, thank you so much, Tom, for doing this.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I do want to clarify, like, I didn't become racist because Aiko kept calling me white. Like, I found a way to be proud of my whiteness. There's a guy named Richard Spencer that you guys should all look into.
There we go.
You're gonna get canceled now. That got clipped, dude. You're screwed. You're so screwed.
That's like kitty ears there.
All right, Jola. Appreciate you coming on, man. I've been a huge fan of your content. I like a lot of stuff you're doing. You said that you're probably going to run for, I think you said Congress one day or something like that as well?
No, I was talking about state house. I'm hoping like 2024, because I'm graduating in 2022, so I need to get some stuff settled before I take that leap. And things cost money, as sad as it is. Need to do that first. But yeah, thank you a lot for having me on. I was dealing with my computer like overheating and stuff during this, so sorry if I didn't contribute that much, because I have my laptop in my dorm room. If you can see the ugly walls. behind me. But if anybody wants to have like a more one-on-one discussion about like political pragmatism or progressivism and really break down these topics, feel free to DM me. You included, Tom, of course. Should be a fun conversation. But yeah, thank you for having me on. You can find me at JOLAH Jola on YouTube and JOLAH Games on Twitch. Yep.
Did you have anything on the last topic?
Just in general, I think we need to take a step back and do our best to analyze these topics from the perception of other people. I do pretty strongly believe the statement that perception is reality. So we should be trying to do the best we can to understand how other people are perceiving things. And we should be adjusting our rhetoric to a format that fits convincing more people to move in the right direction for these things.
Awesome, man. And then I think next is Art Black.
Awesome. So thank you so much for having me on. Total new guy. I stream with Cypher on Crowdsourced Politics. If you're looking for our video content, that sort of thing, it will be there. If you want to see me harass and belittle conservatives on Twitter, I'm at @TheRealArtBlack. And as far as kind of closing thoughts, one of the things I'd really want to throw out there is that, we think about pragmatism and trying to frame and brand our arguments in a way that are effective. But ultimately, you kind of get the world that you fight for and what you settle for or what gets forced upon you. So when you think about like, hey, if we make this argument, what if that offends somebody? What if that hurts their feelings? What if this causes this or that? Ultimately, when you're a conservative, you have it a lot easier because you already have a world that was handed to you that you benefit from. So all you really need to do is just hold the line. Whereas when you're on the other side and you're trying to progress things, by definition, you need to break shit because there's shit already in the way of where you want to go. And there's, I guess, productive and non-productive ways to do it. But you still need to keep in mind that the idea is to push forward through somebody that's already there that doesn't want you to go there. And as an example, I want to mention that they had a study that was released today about, and this is just an example that for me, looking back, is very significant. But people who are, let's say, like, I think it's like 30 to 55 or something that identify as trans is like it's like a 0.2% or some incredibly small number. But then when you go to people who are like 18 to 30-ish or so, it becomes 1.2%. And then if it's underneath that, like your 16 to 18-year-old, it's 1.8%. You guys, a lot of you, wouldn't even imagine how unfathomable the idea of like trans rights would be like 30 years ago. Like, I just have the benefit of that because I'm fucking ancient. But it's the kind of thing where if you think about how much progress you can get when you actually lean into it and push forward, it's inspiring. And, all of the rights that have been fought for over the last couple of centuries made people mad. It hurt people's feelings. It broke shit. Like, you had people thinking the world was going to end and this glorious civilization we'd built is going to fall apart. And it's just not fucking true. All the progress that's happened has made the world better, and it's made the people who cried about it, they made their lives better too. It made everything better. It really hasn't hurt. So unfortunately, we just have to deal with the fact that progress, we're going to have to hurt people's feelings and make them think about uncomfortable things or have discussions that they're not going to like. And it's too fucking bad. That's it.
All right. And then next up, we got Fanatic.
Hey, I mean, listen, I'm not one of those people that like, I don't know. I guess I just have like I think my takes are just kind of nuanced in the sense that I'm not like a hyper leftist. I'm not like a super righty. I'm just kind of just whatever the freak. And if you like my takes, or if you feel like my takes are absolutely ridiculous, I heard there were a bunch of people cringing in the chat. I think cowards cringe. Real people actually engage. So if you actually want to engage on any of these conversations, I am more than willing. You can go ahead and bring it. I stand by everything that I freaking said. You can find me at twitch.tv/MrFanatic. I typically engage in these kind of conversation on Prime Case stream. And even if you don't like my takes, I bet you like my music. I just released a single like last week. It's a song called Ariya, Ariya. under the name Fanatiq, Fanatiq. It's on Spotify, it's on Tidal, it's on Amazon, it's on literally anywhere they sell music. You can go ahead and check that out. It's piano music because I'm a pianist. Yeah, give it a listen and tell me what you think.
Fanatiq, I just want to say it's been an honor being here for your leftist coming out party. I really appreciated it. It's a very personal moment for you, and I'm just happy you chose to share that with us, okay?
I'm so upset.
You got to be your true self, man.
I actually kept thinking, people keep telling me I'm a leftist, so I took my political compass quiz this week, and I ended up like half of my circle is like over onto the left side. The last time I took it was almost exactly a year ago. I ended up right in the center of all 4 quadrants. This time I'm a little bit farther libertarian. I thought I was moving left, but I'm moving farther right, actually.
You're moving farther right. All right.
Oh, real quick, in Fanatiq, I saw some of your debates with Destiny recently. I think the last one was like about rioting and stuff like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. It was really good. All right.
Oh, did Power get to go? Did I interrupt? I think
we're going to Pyro right now.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Tom. Like, finally, I got my computer back, so I'm actually able to hop on and join you guys. This was really chill. I like it. I enjoyed all of the takes we had here. Final words on like the last topic. Like, yeah, people might cringe online as hard as they want to. I really don't care if you cringe or whatnot. Like, I think GKR said it best. Like, there's 40 million people in this country. Like, personally, like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to change their minds. So, like, I'm not gonna jump the gun and start calling them all this shit until I, assess that. But to each their own. Really good panel. If you want to find me, because like I do like just dumb meme debates and shit, subscribe on YouTube or follow me on Twitch. You can also follow me on Twitter where I'm a little bit more active, but I'm gonna start picking up activity soon. Also, the monkey will beat the lizard. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Okay. For everybody who's new in the audience, for everybody else who's streaming, I'm Tom. I go by TomFoolery. I've run panels and debates for a long time. I've been doing podcasting for a long time and now getting into streaming. I'm fairly new to Twitch, but adding panels to some of the stuff that I'm doing as well. And we organize these panels in a way where I know it makes a lot of people a little anxious, but we try to avoid topics ahead of time because then there's a whole lot of research and energy put into winning the debate. And it turns into blood sports. And we try to avoid the blood sports. We want productive, educational conversations. It can be entertaining as well. But over time, I went on a lot of panels on Twitch, and lots of people were just saying, I don't think I get anything from this. Like, I don't think I get anything from watching this. And so I just saw something that I thought maybe I could fill, a void that I could fill here on Twitch by making panels that were actually educational and that people could actually get something out of. So that's why we run them the way that we do and try to go over topics where people can express as much as they want on it. And we bounce all over the place, but that's not an accident. It's not disorganized. This is all definitely on purpose. And I appreciate all you guys coming, man. We had to scramble to get this one together very last minute. I'm so happy that all of you joined. It turned out to be such a good panel today. So thank you guys all for coming. And if any of you want to stay, we got some more people who are going to jump on to talk. So yeah, other than that, appreciate you coming and you can see yourselves out.
All right, who wants to hear the blackface take? Let's do it.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How many spots do you need to free up? Do you need any of us to go?
I'll do that, and then I'll leave it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. What is this? Oh boy. Okay. There goes my computer. It's all over. Let's look at it. Where are we at? Library. FX. Fusion? Yeah. Usage. All right. After I left the call. Oh my goodness. What? That's insane. That's crazy. After I left that call, it went from 10% usage, or no, it went from 90% usage to 10% usage. And after I left the call, it went from 95 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees. Oh my goodness. All right, well, the computer's not going to break anymore, hopefully. Damn. Oh wait, I don't even have a way to look at the chat. Let's go. YouTube. YouTube. There I am. I'm in a penitentiary, yeah. Everybody go to Destiny's stream and say debate Jola. Here, go here. We have like 20 people. Go here and say. Oh, he's already talking to people. It'll happen. This is gonna happen eventually. It needs to. There's no way it doesn't. I need to destroy him. I want to destroy him in a debate. Here, I'm gonna say face me, you coward. Face me. Face me, you coward. Here, look. Right here. Face me, you coward. What a loser. What a loser. I would destroy him so bad. He'd be crying. My goodness. Just off the pure fact that I'm taller, I would win. All right, good night. Who is Jola talking about? Destiny. I would destroy him in a debate. Cockeyed Rooster, thank you again for the super chat, by the way. This political pragmatism discussion is an important one. I had a good moment in class today, challenging people. I said, if anybody should be ashamed, or if anybody should be shamed for being white, it's college students, not working class white people. Or if anybody needs to admit their privilege, I would say it's college students that need to admit it, because they're the ones that know better. But that got people mad, which was the goal. Yeah, thank you. I'll try to survive in prison. How do I end the stream? Let's see. Yeah, I'll stream again tomorrow, as long as I get my work done. I gotta take some time to edit some clips and stuff so I can get some stuff in the frickin' algorithm. Try to revive my channel. These panels are just so, like, I don't know. Head Dawn in prison? Yeah. Are me and Destiny even that different? No, I'd still destroy him, though. I mean, yeah, we are. I'm more to the left. Do your schoolwork for sure. I just know I would dominate him because I'm taller, so. Height supremacy. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'll leave my stream on all night. Oh boy. What were the peak viewers? There were 34 viewers at one point. I wasn't even talking. Thank you. Well, the way the Hippy Dippy podcast is run is alright. Because it's only, what, 9 people. Dylan Burns moderates it really good. It depends how much of a meme you want to make it, though, really. Depends, like, what the mix of people are. Of course, no one's gonna watch a straight policy debate. Like, if I wanted to actually get into a policy debate on how to provide energy in the northeast of the U.S., I don't know if people would like that. We literally can't ban fracking. Like, full stop. There needs to be a transitionary period. Because it would make people go, you would make people be forced into poverty based on energy prices in general. And electric cars aren't the answer. Think about it. Who's going to be able to buy electric cars? Not poor people. Who's going to be stuck paying for gas? Not rich people. What happens to gas prices when all the rich people buy electric cars and demand for gas falls? And maybe possibly supply falls for gas? What happens to all the poor people who need to drive an hour to work? Where are they going to get their gas? The energy required for the cars, where's the energy going to come from? How much does that cost? Is the environmental trade-off even worth it because of all the energy requirements you're going to need to meet? Because there's going to be pollution based on where you get the energy from too. Electric, yeah, skateboards, yeah. Nuclear cars. I want Flintstone cars. That's what we need. But like, it's so easy to talk about ideas and principles and my favorite policy. It's really easy to do that. It's hard to find out how to actually make it reality. We can sit around and have a circle jerk for like 90 straight hours about like, oh, what do we believe and why do we believe it? And why are we more pure than other people? And why do other people not get it? We can do that so easily. We can talk about the political process. We could be like, I know exactly what Bernie Sanders should have done in his campaign and he would have won. Like, we can say all that stuff. We can criticize stuff we don't even understand. But it's really hard to actually do shit. Get on the ground, have real political impact. That's simply the reality. And this isn't really a space for it. You don't get big talking about real shit. Literally all my channel subscribers, or like 99% of my channel subscribers, came from clickbait, which is what you need to do, obviously. But if you think about it, like I was saying, there's trade-offs in all this. You can't be a big streamer and also be in real politics. Being like Destiny is different, where you're already a big streamer for 15 years. Your net worth is over $1 million. You can take out money and you can do whatever you want to be involved. You have a community established. Space Force. Wait, what happened? Who gave me another $10? What the hell? Yo, Kaka, thank you a lot, by the way. Like, every stream, you're very... What's that word called? Nice. What's that word called? I can't think. I don't know words. And thank you again. Did great when I spoke. We need more progressives like yourself making good, down to earth points. Thank you. No. What's that one word? It's a good word. Generous. God. Words are hard. Yeah. I am now only $160,000 in debt instead of $200,000 in debt. Tell you what though, it's really annoying not having big boy political connections. Cause I don't know. I'm not exactly the most confident person, but I do believe that I'd be a pretty valuable asset to have in a campaign for 2022. For like Fetterman or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Whoever decides to give me an opportunity might be lucky. Just become a politician and pass legislation to wipe out your debt. 5-head, true. Big cockeyed energy, yeah. Durka. What did Durka say? Kylie brought me here. Yeah. Join a campaign political. go listen to Kanye if you want some confidence. True. Being inclusive gain support. Gotta be at the right place at the right time, and you gotta execute when you're there. Kylie is the algorithm. I hate the algorithm. The algorithm can SMD. You know what? After this week, after I got all my schoolwork done, I'm doing a whole week of freaking clickbait content. 100% clickbait. I'm gonna lie about stuff in the title. What did Vosh say about black people? Question mark, question. That'll be every video. I will blow up. You don't win. You don't win by playing clean. You win by playing dirty. You win by playing the game. I miss the Tom McDonald fans that used to harass me. I want to debate them. Joe Rogan dead? Bash Jimmy Dore. Kyle Kalinske released a dumbass video today. He's still talking like Wall Street Bets was owning the stock market, hedge funds. I'm already based, hell yeah. Thanks Norm. RIP Joe Rogan having ate an angel today. I should go into the Jimmy Dore subreddit and make people mad. That's what I should do. Alright, good night. Yeah, Kyle doesn't research. He just kind of talks out of his ass. Which is unfortunate for a channel with almost 1 million subscribers. PA. Home. Love it. I do like PA. I like the mountains and the hiking trails and the biking. I like how there's a lot of variety in weather too. Like, the summers never get too hot. The winters never get too cold. It's a good mix. Yeah, I know Voch was live. Don't worry, I talked twice. Don't watch it. I'm actually gonna put here. I'm gonna put in the title. I only talked twice. Do not watch. I only talked twice. Do not watch. Yeah, there you go. Spencer, thank you very much for the for the streamly $2. Every stream you give me $2, and you say what's up, beta? Beta. My fellow beta males. Thank you. You watch for the cat girl? Yo, get me the cat girl's number, dude. Shame money. Yes. Shame. You're into shame? Beta. $2 stimulus from Joe Biden. Joe Biden be like, yeah, guys, I know we were talking about $15 minimum wage, but I think we should do 13. Good job, Joe. What's up, Comrade Royer? Don't watch whatever. I'm getting off right now, but don't watch this debate. I didn't talk. I had some pretty based, as they say, takes. What's up, though? I'm gonna start posting some more videos and stuff. I have some VODs with a couple different things I could post, I guess. Jesse Lee Peterson takes anybody? Then, oh my goodness. If it ever happens again, the next time there's 100 people watching, we literally do need to go storm Destiny's chat and force him to lose to me in a debate. I want to show him the truth behind Obamagate. Or wait, not Obamagate. Around the DNC rigging it against Bernie Sanders. That tanky is so funny. That came on his stream the other night, dude. Oh my god. It was so funny. It was fucking hilarious. Holy crap. Alright. Good night. Dropping dimes. Re-ask your old question. What question? Real quick. Say your question. I don't know what it is. Re-ask your old question. Dunk on people on panels. It works for Destiny. I'm not like that though. I need somebody I really disagree with. Wait, what does Comrade Royer have to say? He said I forgot to re-ask my old question. I'm trying to see. Say something. What's your question? I want to go. Why should the government not like socialized medicine? Force it. It's a business. Yeah, it is a business. You are right. AOC was nice to Pelosi when she was still denied a committee assignment. What does that tell you? It tells me she's not an idiot politically. It tells me she actually knows what she's doing. That committee was hard to get on. She made a last-ditch effort to try and get on it, and they denied her, citing how she endorsed a bunch of progressive challengers. That's politics, baby. It's not fun. It's not clean. It's fucking gross. It's hard. It's difficult. It's sad. It's angering. That's what it is. Politics. Medical care being personal. It seems like a libertarian. You just have to make the argument like, why is the US the most individually personal focused private market in the world, but we're 30th in the world? We have the highest per capita GDP, whatever production spent on healthcare, but we're 30th in the world. So how? Tell me why. Jay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jay. Based on the patterns of trumpet. Psychological projection. I expect us soon to discover a cabal of satanic pedo cannibals eating cheese pizza in the basement of Mar-a-Lago. It's coming. Yes. I have a video on that coming up, actually. Yeah, that's the thing, though. Like, people come into politics and something makes them mad, and they're like, I'm done. AOC should lash out against the establishment. I'm like, dude, this is real life, dude. Come on. Calm down. Think about it for a second. No, you're good. Wait, what? AOC was nice to Pelosi, and she was still denied a committee assignment. I told you why she was denied the assignment, because she endorsed progressive challengers across the country. When did she attack Pelosi? It is bad for political capital. She wants to take over the party, not be against the party. That's her goal. You can be against that goal, but that's what she's trying to do. You loved the impeachment manager from Ivory Coast. She said she lost her first election campaign and cried in bed for 30 days. I cry in bed just for no reason, so I agree. I understand that. I agree with that take. I love crying in bed. That's what I do every morning and night. Oh yes, tears, sadness. All right, for reals. Oh, maybe I should. I actually commented on that infrared tankies post. It was so funny against Destiny. I'll do a reaction tomorrow. This. Let's see if he responded. Yo, let's go. We're in. I'm pumped. Wait, how do I do this? Where's the main screen at? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Infrared. Here's that tanky. He debated. Yeah, He debated Socked on left, Destiny, Tanky's on the march, Tanky destroys Vosh. Oh boy, wait, did he accept my face me, you coward? When? Yeah, let's go! Let's go! I'm pumped. I'm excited. Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying it was a mistake to openly endorse primary challengers. I'm saying that that is a trade-off. Look at these numbers. It's a trade-off. You can't just like political capital is real. You can't just like get every committee assignment, endorse against establishment figures, speak out against the party. You can't do all of that and then take over the party. He said when? Oh no. Am I ready for a conversation at this? I should watch his debates tomorrow. I should prepare for it. Okay, tomorrow's going to be a preparation stream to debate ImRaffed show. I'm not going to tell him about it. I'm just going to do it. And then maybe he'll find it. Oh yeah, thanks for the comments, Hall. HAL 9000. He's pushing out of his brand. Or out his brand. All right, let me make the stream right now. Can I do this? All right. Tomorrow, what time can I do it? 9, I think. Maybe I'll do 9:55 because I might be busy. Go live. All right, schedule stream. Create new. 9:55. What day is it today? Thursday, yeah. 9:55 Thursday, 9:55 p.m. Might be earlier. I don't know. I don't know anything. Preparing for brutal. Preparing for brutal debate. Here, you want to see all my old planned streams that I abandoned? Look at this. Never mind. This is not the right screen. Look at these old streams I abandoned. Look at all these. Preparing for brutal debate versus infrared. Tanky that. Try to say beat. Tanky that beat Vosh. Destiny and Sock done left. Wait, what is singular for tanky? Is this right? Is it tanky? Or is it? Because I know tankies is like that, right? What is it? No, not right now. Tomorrow. I'm preparing tomorrow. He paid Vosh $200 for a debate. Maybe Vosh will debate me if I pay him $200. No, tomorrow we're going to prepare for the debate. Preparation for brutal debate versus infrared. So I'm going to watch his debates versus Vosh, Destiny, and Socked on Left tomorrow night. Is it Tank E like this, though? Help me. Somebody help me. There's at least 20 people here still. Tell me. Is this how you spell Tanky? Tanky, okay. Tanky, okay, you're right. Here, I'll do this. Tanky. Tanky that beat Vosh, Destiny, and Socked on Left. Preparing for brutal debate versus infrared. Tanky that beat Vosh, Destiny, and Socked on. Okay, scheduled for tomorrow at like 10 o'clock. Perfect. This is how you do it. Soaking the content up, baby. So excited. I'm not paying a millionaire $200 to talk to me. if he decides he care if Vosh decides he cares enough about rural progressivism, then he'll bring me on. All right, he'll stop ignoring me. Infrared will love you for saying that. Literally, I think Vosh makes more in a week than like my fucking entire family makes in a year. Come on. Why would I give him $200 to debate me? Even if that would help me, you know what I mean? From a platforming sense. A tanky is not as bad as a neoliberal. Somebody who is pro-USSR in China is not as bad as a neoliberal that is pro-America. I don't know about that one. Preparing for boot. Yes, let's go. Investment, yeah. All about the long game. Infrared is high key, gotta make that money back. Yeah, that is true. But I'm not coming to argue though. So it's not gonna be like a hot topic thing. Well, yeah. But the thing is, he's brought on other people that have like 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. But a lot of it is because there's a connection of friends that are on here. There's like a social in-group for lefty content creators. So like there's like Denims, for example, he platformed. I mean, she was already growing a lot, but like having the access to all those shows, if you can be on 10 hippy dippy podcasts or debate panels, if you can be on Prime K's every weekend on the primetime slots, if you can be on screen with Vosh, if you can have a one-on-one conversation with Vosh multiple times, like you're gonna skyrocket. It's just how it is. If you're not friends with these people, in the same way where if you're not friends with like business connections, you're not gonna be able to get as big doing this type of content. Unless if you get something, you know, you really... I mean, if I had more time to devote to it, obviously that'd be different. But I'm like struggling. Yeah, Destiny does have a lot more, like yeah. But even I don't know, maybe I'm just a loser. It's all about eyeballs, true. It's about the algorithm. YouTube algorithm. Do you think Mike from PA will have me on? Yeah, Hillary stands actually vote. Yeah, true. Who would you rather have on your side? People that actually vote or people that cry about not having socialism? I'm excited though. When should I ask him to debate me? I'm surprised he'll debate somebody as small as me. Oh shit. No, like to be honest though, I don't know. I know he only has 1.7 thousand or 1.17 thousand subscribers on here. How many does he have on Twitch? Infrared show 171, so he doesn't have any type of like following. Wait, why is Xander Hall on Twitch? Is he on Twitch and YouTube? The algorithm. Wait, did I just say algorithm? No. I didn't want to say that. Why did I say that? I meant to say YouTube algorithm, but I said algorithm. The algorithm hates me right now, so let's play some. Oh my god. No. Alright, face me, you coward. The algorithm. That's my new word. Drop a like for the algorithm, not the YouTube algorithm. That's called pragmatism. We need less words now. What should I say? I'll think about it. I don't know yet. Wait, let me see this right here, actually.
This is how he sees the working class and how he sees humanity. He mocks them in this way as though he's above us, this little fucking gremlin. Look at how humanity...
Wait, let me see this real quick.
Another one on the belt. Another one on the belt. I'm looking at your fucking YouTube, and my people are in your chat. My people are spamming your chat. How does it feel? My people are spamming your chat.
The level's good here.
My people are spamming your chat. My people are spamming your chat. Remember, whoever leaves worse. Listen, my people are spamming your chat right now. How does it feel? See how this anti-human piece of shit sees us, guys? This is how he sees the working class and how he sees humanity. He mocks them in this way as though he's above us, this little fucking gremlin. Look at how he mocks humanity. Look at how he fucking laughs as though he's in a position of power. This fucking Bill Gates, pygmy Bill Gates little fucking boy. Look at this fucking guy who thinks he's above humanity. Look at him. Look at him laugh like a fucking disgusting, ugly gremlin. And you are an ugly boy, by the way. You're so ugly and disgusting, by the way. Look at him fucking laugh. Look at him fucking laugh. This is when he looks. This is how these fucking metropolitan fake leftists look down upon the American people and the working people. This is how they're laughing at the people in Texas right now, too. They're laughing at everybody who's not educated in the Ivy Leagues. They're laughing at everybody who's not college educated. They're laughing at everybody who doesn't speak and talk like them. They're laughing at everybody who doesn't sound like a fucking...
This is unironically such a dangerous form of populism, though, like, to be honest.
Bill Gates nerd. This is their war against the American people, and this is their war against the working class. Witness it here. This is how they see themselves. This is how they see themselves. He actually thinks he's in a position of superiority over me. And look at him. He's fucking trembling because my chat is dominating his chat. My fucking chat is spamming his chat, and I see my chat in his chat. Who's dominating who? I'm dominating him, and he's pretending to be above me. He's pretending to be above me. He's pretending to be above me. Look at him. This is how this disgusting anti-human piece of shit looks down on humanity. This is how this disgusting anti-human piece of shit looks down on humanity. This is how this disgusting anti-human piece of shit looks down on humanity. What a pathetic piece of shit. What a pathetic fucking loser. And I'm not gonna fucking leave this. I'm not gonna fucking leave this. I'm only gonna accept your surrender. I'm not gonna fucking leave this. It's not gonna fucking happen. This is not going to be left. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. You disgusting anti-human ugly piece of shit. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. Nothing at all you can fucking do about it. You can try to mute me all you want. You can try to mute me all you want. Raid his chat right now, guys. Raid his fucking chat. Spam in his chat. Little cuck. You surrender. You surrender. You surrender. You surrender. You surrender. You surrender, you little cuck. You little bitch.
All of the monkey spam. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Look how we're dominating his chat. Do you see our power, guys? Do you see our fucking power? How we're dominating him? How we're dominating him? How we're fucking dominating him? This is our power. And I gave him the olive branch. I was trying to be a human being, and he called me a fucking idiot. This is how it fucking happens. I tried to be a fucking human being. Now I gotta be a gorilla because he wants to be a smug bitch. And we're dominating him. We're absolutely fucking dominating him. Do not stop putting the pressure on him. Guys, do not stop. We're in the thick of it. Do not stop spamming his chat. Keep spamming his fucking chat all night. I'll be here all night too. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Keep spamming his fucking chat. We're not losing this war. We're not losing this war. We're not losing this war. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Don't fucking stop. Don't keep the pressure off his chat. Little bitch. You little fucking cuck. Don't fucking stop keeping the pressure up. Keep the fucking pressure up, this little bitch. This little fucking bitch. Well, I wanted to have a human conversation with him, and he wanted to be a smug little bitch, and he fucking lost this entire encounter. What a fucking cuck. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Infrared is rising. We're never gonna give up. We're never gonna give up. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Keep fucking spamming his chat. Keep spamming his fucking chat. Keep spamming his fucking chat. How does it feel to be dominated, huh?
Okay.
Discussion. You chose the bad route. And even though some little bitch in my Discord leaked that, which I don't even care because it's not even private, that still doesn't give you the right not to act human. Who cares if my intention was to steal your viewers or whatever? I don't give a fuck. I was still willing to have a civil conversation with you. Yes, my intention was to have a civil conversation with you to win over a lot of your fucking viewers. That was my fucking intention. Still doesn't fucking give you the right to disrespect me. Why? Because I'm clout chasing? We're all in this for clout chasing, including you. All of this is about growth. I do want to reach a wider fucking audience. Unlike you, I don't monetize this shit yet.
This is actually a really good example of how the far left movements can turn to authoritarianism because they see this purity, they see this want for like a big systemic shift, and democracy isn't good enough for them. The slow push and struggle for progress isn't good enough for them. So they end up turning to autocracy and totalitarianism because that's a quicker route for change. It really is. You see what he's saying? Like, come together, people. Come together in marching order. We will not stop. We have power. We cannot stop. We know what we're doing. They're trying to run from us. We cannot stop because we have so much power right now. We're going to rise up. We're going to be able to take over and dominate this neoliberal corporatist. Like, that is literally a path to authoritarianism and illiberalism. But maybe this can be a fun conversation. Honestly, it might be a good one if I talk to him. Maybe. No, this isn't the same as Jimmy Dore. This is a totally different brand. I think Jimmy Dore's a useful idiot. I don't think he's a tanky. How is this dangerous? Because of what I just said. It's a cult I think authoritarianism is dangerous, whether it comes from the right or the left. If it comes from either side, this is authoritarianism. This is what leads to it. He's not asking for. There's a difference between a libertarian socialist and an authoritarian communist. There is a difference between that. No, this guy is legitimately dangerous. Like, this guy is actually dangerous. This rhetoric and everything. Jimmy Dore's not even, like, on the same plane. But this is how, you can't say it's not effective authoritarianism, because this is how it has worked. If you look up text from, like, even the USSR, even when Mussolini was a communist, the same rhetoric was used. Like he's having a fit. He literally said 50 times in a row, "You are running," or whatever. "You are running. You are running. You are running. You are running. We cannot stop. We have power. We have power." Like can you not see like an authoritarian dictator like standing up in front of a crowd, screaming, "We have power. Do not give up. We will come together. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. Keep fighting." And it's totally, as we all know, he only has like 500 subscribers. He was saying to Destiny and to Vosh, "Look at us. We are overpowering your chat." It's literally like a silent minority thing, or a silent majority thing. I mean, it's literally like the left version of that, of the right wing. Like, we are the true people who are being attacked by the mob, but we are also overpowering them. Our opponents are both weak and powerful. We are gonna take our small faction and take it over, or whatever. Storm them. It's usually not like Germany, for example. It was never like a big majority of people that were for Nazism. It was like 1/3 that was actually for like Nazism. The rest were like what would be considered today to be neocons and liberals that let the Nazis get too much political power to take over. So it's not like authoritarianism needs to be a majority ideology. It's always been a minority ideology, but they just are more willing to orchestrate whatever power they can, whether that's violent or political or whatever. No, an effective authoritarian doesn't have a message because they can't be pinned down on anything. Like, think about Donald Trump. Ambiguity is a very strong characteristic of an authoritarian. The Republican Party had no platform other than "we're going to support our president, Donald Trump." It allows them to do whatever they want and morph into whatever position they want. They don't want any solid positions. They don't want people thinking about policy. They don't want an actual goal. The boogeyman is, we hate America. We want to take over the neoliberals. We want to topple the current governmental system in the same way where, and there's no like direct way to do it. If you ask him, what are your plans to actually accomplish this? He has nothing to say. He just has a vague like cult mentality. Like, we need to come together ideologically and stop bowing down to the neoliberal class. We need to rise up and take back what they took from us. Literally the opposite rhetoric can be found on the authoritarian right, where it's like, the immigrants are coming. We don't have any exact policies for this, but we are going to attack them. Law and order is needed. Marxists are rising up. There's Marxists infiltrating our society. We need to get them out. We are the silent majority. We have more power than they think. Look at us. We are dominating them. They are cowering. They are both very weak people and very strong at the same time. They are so strong they can ruin our entire livelihoods, but they are so weak that with our minority we can overpower them. This is extremely characteristic of authoritarian regimes. Fascism, communism, whatever. Horseshoe theory, who cares? Just authoritarianism in general. I don't really care about the left and right wing arguments, other than studying how they both come about. Yeah, that's why fascism collapses in on itself. But they don't want to attack on anyone. They just they want a general idea of fear, of resentment, a general idea of anger, of the current system. You want to topple the current system. There's no thought of what happens after. Like, this guy literally favors like China and Russia. Like, he likes them. He likes these regimes. He hates America. That's the unironic thing. He literally just hates America. Like, anybody who thinks China taking over geopolitically where America has power would be better, that's a pretty dangerous ideology. And it just so happens that all the countries that tankies love happen to be the authoritarian forms of like socialism. They don't like social democracy or anything close to that. It just happens to be where dictators were able to rise up and gain majority control, or totalitarian control. It just happens that they like the authoritarian ones. It just happens. Very random. It doesn't need to be a group in this tirade. He's literally just saying what I was saying. He hates America. Sockdown Left, his approach to politics. So what Sockdown Left does is he's a socialist. He pushes for socialism basically as a liberal. He pragmatically acts as a progressive within the current system to try and push for his goal. He's not pro-America, but he also isn't going to be like anti-America to the extent where he's like pro-China or Russia. This guy hates the idea of doing that. He doesn't want to be pragmatic. He doesn't even want the current government to exist. Sockdown Left wants a liberal government. And liberal government literally just means norms, civility, a democratic process. That's all that means. That's what Sockdown Left wants. He wants to build off the current, structure. This guy is what would be like a radical, violent, revolutionary wannabe. Like, he wants to topple the current system. He doesn't care what happens after it. He's against liberal democracy. He's illiberal. So there's liberalism and illiberalism. Liberal shouldn't mean left and right. Liberal should mean like Democrat. Like, not Democrat. Liberal, like I said, means like the current democracy, like civility. You're gonna adhere to democratic norms. You're going to be pretty socially progressive. Illiberalism will be the opposite of that. So like, they don't want democratic norms. They're usually authoritarian. Liberalism is freeing. It's not what it means today when talking in this context. But illiberalism always feeds into each other. Whether it's right-wing or left-wing illiberalism, they both accomplish the goal of toppling the current system at the expense of everybody in that system. Like, if you talk about the net livelihood of everybody who is living within capitalism or socialism or whatever country, take that net livelihood, this person's ideology always turns out bad for everybody. So it's like, we need to help the struggling people in our society by toppling the entire society, but in reality, consequentially, this results in an event where the entire society crumbles and leads to authoritarianism. But he doesn't care about those consequences because he would rather take a big risk on unplanned, unsavory like revolution than actually work his way through the current system and change it in a legitimate way through the actual like processes. Yes, I would rather the US have control than China. Yes. What's happening in China right now is the closest thing we've seen to Nazi Germany, like ever, since Nazi Germany. But we don't hear enough about it because of their state-run media, of course. And in America, we actually have a chance to influence some policy. Foreign policy is going to be hard to actually have an impact for, but we do have... How you treat your citizens domestically does say something about how you're going to act globally. So you're like a tanky. State Department talking points. You mean looking at Russia and China and seeing that they are both authoritarian governments that literally kill every... You do realize in Russia, if you're a dissenting party from Putin, you literally need your own paramilitary because they're going to try to assassinate you. They already do assassinate people daily. You can't be in the press and speak out against the government. You die. It's a cold, depressing life there. It's an authoritarian regime that has a lifelong president, which is the same as China. That in no way compares to corporatism in the US. One world super government. Haha, the US democracy isn't perfect, therefore, I want no democracy. Like, what about lifelong president? Do you not understand? What about killing your political descendants? Do you not understand? Like, Bernie Sanders in Russia is dead already. He doesn't get to live. He's not allowed to. There's no chance for progress in a system like that. And that's not to say America is good or perfect. True. All right. Debate with Infrared tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is the preparation stream. The debate will be this weekend. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we are preparing for the debate. We're going to watch the Vosh debate, the Destiny debate, and the Sock Down Left debate. Should be fun. All right. Good night. Where's the... You would rather a government that is a little authoritarian but provides universal... You do... You know, Russia does provide universal healthcare. You should move to Russia. Much better standard of living there. You might live a little bit less. You might die, but you can't really speak out against their government, but maybe you can get healthcare that they use to appease people. Well, at least they're admitting you would rather authoritarian than an imperfect democracy. Because whenever this happens, throughout history, it goes really fucking bad. Really bad. Authoritarianism is unsavory for obvious reasons. Why would they... Even if they said they were going to do universal healthcare, why would they maintain it? They literally just maintain control of the entire system and implement... Like... Never mind. Good night. Yeah, I better hope you're on the right side of the current regime, and you know, no worker power, no freedom of anything whatsoever. You're just put this is literally what you just said is literally the stereotype of like authoritarian communism that has no freedom. Like we're all gonna be put into like boxes. We live in like tiny containers. All of our, because you do realize, universal healthcare, universal childcare, and universal, let's say, food. And universal housing, just because it has the word universal doesn't mean it's good. You can have universal housing and everybody can be given a box to live in. That can be considered universal housing. You can have universal healthcare. The standard of healthcare may be worse than anywhere in the US. It's still universal healthcare. You can have universal food, but they can feed you bricks of tofu every day. You can have universal childcare, but they might put your kids into tiny containers so they don't act up too much. Put them in cages, so they don't act up too much throughout the day. You can have universal internet, free internet for everybody. But sorry, you can't go on any site you want to go to. If you play video games, they're all censored. Video games are only used in places like China as like mind control methods. What else can we have that's universal? And education, universal education. They're going to teach you what they want. You're not going to learn anything other than exactly what the state sponsors. I don't know, free and open media, state controlled. Like, this is how this happens. We're like, wow, we want universal programs, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be any kind of like relative improvement on what we currently have. I would much rather struggle in the for-profit system of the US healthcare wise than in Russia. It's not exactly a, you know, but hey, it's universal. It must be good, right? Maybe I'll clip that out and post it. That was pretty cool. All right, good night. You aren't a utilitarian because you don't understand the consequences of what you want to do. Because you'd have to do something that's to the benefit of everybody, right? That wouldn't be to the benefit of anybody. What I just said is not good for the majority. That is not good whatsoever for the majority. Living in the middle of New York in a tiny ass apartment is much better than what I just said. Even without any chance to get healthcare. Like there's, oh my god. I'm not ready for these big brained arguments right now. Government equal good, unironically. Authoritarianism, okay.